Ladies and gentlemen, I have to start this episode by saying one simple thing. Joe Rogan, you were wrong. You were wrong. I was right. You see, my friends, 7 months ago, just a little bit more than 7 months ago, I was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I told him, Joe, we need a one world government because the Galactic Federation is not going to allow Earth to join so long as we are not unified under one governing authority. And you know what Joe said to me? He said, I don't think there's a Galactic Federation. Obviously, I was joking. I thought the whole thing was hilarious. But now we have this kind of funny story. The former head of the Israeli space program said aliens are real. Well, he said UFOs, but he said Galactic Federation. So he basically said aliens are real. And they're waiting for us to kind of calm down before revealing themselves. Now, I know a lot of people are like, Tim, this is a clickbait title. It's not true. Well, hold on. There's a man named Paul Hellyer. Our good friend Luke Rudkowski actually knows him, correct?
Yes, I do. And he was in an interview that he did with me a couple years ago, which was pretty eye-opening to say the least.
What's his title?
He is the former Canadian defense minister.
He said aliens are real.
Not only that, he said aliens are real and they're not coming to the Earth because we keep fighting each other and they're denying us secret technology. And if we could stop fighting, we could have this secret technology.
So basically, we have confirmation from a different government, different authority figure,
different old guy saying, I don't give a damn. I'm going to be taking everything on the table and letting the people know what's going on. And yes, Paul Hellyer and now this Israeli government official from the space program coming out and essentially saying the same thing.
It's confirmation.
Yeah. Well,
okay, listen, everybody calm down. We're having fun tonight, okay? We're nearing the end of the year. The story comes out. Everybody's rolling with it because it's fun, it's funny. But let me ask you a serious question. When a government official, former high-ranking official, comes out and says, here's the thing, why would you choose to believe or disbelieve them? If a former intelligence agent, came out and said, or like the head of an intelligence agency, said Donald Trump was colluding with the Russians, we had, more than half this country, most people entertaining the possibility at the very least, and many who still believe it right now. Okay, I don't know if aliens are real, if they're coming here, but you know the challenge is? Who am I to question these two individuals who have now said very similar things?
Well, it's not just them. It's also Harry Reid.
Oh, that's right. Harry Reid just said it, didn't he?
Yep.
Bunch of old guys.
There's also very interesting comments from Barack Obama and Bill Clinton.
That was a joke from...
Of course.
Or was it? Or was it?
And we have to understand here, there is a lot of data. There is a lot of kind of circumstantial things coming together that do paint a picture that something could be up.
It's going to be a fun show because we got a ton of news to go through. We got this. This is a legitimate story from verified, several different news outlets are reporting the same thing. This guy has said this, that the UFOs are here. There's a Galactic Federation. We got to chill. And we got a bunch of news around this, especially quotes from Obama. It was on Jimmy Kimmel. We've also got news about microwave weapons potentially being used in India and the Havana syndrome, which is basically these people who are in Cuba, diplomats started getting this weird fatigue and headaches and memory loss and couldn't fuzzy vision. And they think that somebody was using microwave weapons on them. Now we're hearing it may actually be China who's doing it. So this is crazy. We've also got some other really big stories we'll get to. There was a Trump supporter who had his house bombed. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is a big story or not, but Ian noticed this. This is not reported anywhere. You noticed that Joe Rogan's episodes off YouTube, all gone.
Yeah.
Not all, but
most of them, all the ones that I could find, the full episodes have at least 4.4 million views. So it looks like he left a lot of his big shows up.
A bunch of the Joe Rogan episodes are gone. It feels kind of silly, opening with a joke about Joe, but then we actually have something on his channel. Now, the only reason I would talk about that is because it's the biggest podcast in the world, but there actually is some news around Joe's show. There's a bunch of people writing stuff. Fans are upset. I see people making, comments about it. But we'll get into it because, I think a lot of people are looking for celebrity gossip around this stuff. But I do think it's really important to talk about, where these episodes have gone, why they're gone. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I'm Tim Pool. We're hanging out. This is Timcast IRL podcast. We got Luke, who is just chiming in.
You messed up my introduction. I was going to say, help, you're kidnapping me.
You spelled help wrong.
I know. I did it on purpose. And I did a little Tim Pool drawing right here as well, just to highlight.
What? You spelled help?
Well.
It says,
I know.
Why does it say?
That was a joke. That was a joke. I was going to act like you're kidnapping me because you had me on for 3 times in a row.
It says help.
I know. It was pretty
Why?
funny. But regardless of that, hi.
Who are you dog whistling to?
I am the Supreme Allied Commander behind wearechange.org. My favorite type of dog is a pit bull pug, And an interesting fact about me is that Henry Kissinger has personally insulted me to my face on many occasions.
That's very cool.
So
I like that.
put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Luke, you live a ridiculous life.
Yes, I do.
Ian's chilling, of course. He's got a crystal ball with a tinfoil hat on.
Yeah, and I truly believe when we develop warp drive, then the aliens will be like, okay, now
We can do
That's Star Trek.
Yep.
No, they're going to be like, we're using you for cheap labor, so make our widgets. And we're
There's
gonna
an interesting theory about nuclear weapons that we're going to be talking about in a little bit. Could be one of the reasons why aliens are here, according to some people who theorize about it. So,
And don't forget, Sour Patch Lids is producing.
I'm over in the corner. I have an even special guest than Luke. I looked down and there was a little stink bug on my
Stink
microphone.
bug.
He's hanging
Oh,
out.
yeah.
You can see him there.
There's a
He's
little
right.
stink bug.
He's on the bottom there. Oh, look,
like
there he
those
is.
guys.
Yeah. Anyway, he's
It's
super
stink
cool.
bug season.
He'll be
They're
chilling
trying
over
to
here with me.
escape winter.
You're comparing me to a stink bug.
No, he's cooler.
No,
than
yeah,
me.
he's better. I like
Even
stink
better.
bugs. They smell bad, but they're
They don't
they're
do
they're very
anything.
clumsy.
Chilling.
Docile.
Yeah, docile and clumsy.
Kinda
And
slow.
like it's funny when they panic and like it's like you're not escaping. You're just like kind of frantically.
I wonder if that's
spinning
like
and-
us with the aliens. Like
yeah,
they
we're
just
like
look at us like stink bugs.
We got a lot to
Yeah.
talk about with the aliens, man. First,
Anyway,
all right. Let me actually pull up I have this tweet, but we'll pull up the real news. Check this out. This is from jewishpress.com. This is a NewsGuard certified website. I am doing this because the left's going to be like, Tim Pool, conspiracies. No.
It's news guarded.
NewsGuard, 92.5 out of 100, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh.
This is almost as good as they come. Former head of Israel's space program. The aliens asked not to be revealed. Humanity not yet ready. So this guy is professor, mind you. Haim Eshed. He served from 1981 to 2010 as the head of Israel's security space program, and over the years received the Israel Security Award 3 times. Twice for confidential technological inventions. So if he went nuts, and this possibility is always open, it had to have happened over the past decade. And the reason we think the good professor may have lost his marbles has to do with an interview he gave 7 days ago, I guess. Oh, he gave 7 days. The Shabbat edition of Yedioth Ahronoth. Okay.
Valiant.
Israel's largest circulation 4-page newspaper, in which he says, quote, the aliens have asked not to announce that they are here. Humanity is not ready yet. Professor Eshed told Yedioth, among other things. Here's his quote. The UFOs have asked not to publish that they are here. Humanity is not yet ready. Well, he kind of just broke that promise. It's like, hey, dude, don't let my girlfriend know that I'm going to be coming over. Yeah, okay, I'm going to text her right now. No, what are you doing? Oh, come on, man. Trump was on the verge of revealing, but the aliens in the Galactic Federation, you see Galactic Federation, are saying, wait, let people calm down first. They don't want to start mass hysteria. They want to first make us sane and understanding. They have been waiting for humanity to evolve and reach a stage where we will generally understand what space and spaceships are. There's an agreement between the U.S. government and the aliens. They signed a contract with us to do experiments here. They too are researching and trying to understand the whole fabric of the universe. And they want us as helpers. There's an underground base in the depths of Mars where their representatives are, and also our American astronauts. If I had to come up with what I'm saying today 5 years ago, I would have been hospitalized. Wherever I've gone with this in academia, they've said, the man has lost his mind. Today, they're already talking differently. I have nothing to lose. I've received my degrees and awards. I am respected in universities abroad, where the trend is also changing. Now, this is a man named Paul Hellyer. Luke actually knows this guy.
Yeah.
Former defense minister.
I went to a retreat with him at Alex's
Well,
grave
one second.
place for some strange
That
reason.
would,
I love that
I don't want
guy.
to confuse it. The next guy we're about to talk to is Paul Hellyer. That was the Israel guy. Now we got the Canadian guy. Luke, take it away.
Well, the Canadian guy, very powerful, high-level guy that's one of the highest level of government officials that came out and came forward and said aliens are real, aliens do exist. And he pretty much was saying the same thing that this Israeli professor, that this head of the former Israeli space program is saying.
Security space program.
Exactly. Now, if you look at some of the revelations, I think one of the most interesting ones by this professor is that allegedly these aliens stopped nuclear Armageddon. And
This is a very famous conspiracy theory.
yes, which is interesting because if you look right after the Manhattan Project, right after the United States developed and started testing nuclear weapons, there was a very big rise in supposed UFOs, unidentified flying objects.
Now,
that
hold
people
on,
saw.
hold on.
Yep.
The U.S. is doing secret military weapon experiments. at the, one of which is the Manhattan Project.
Yep.
So of course people are seeing crazy things in the sky.
Of course. Yes. I'm not saying, I'm just saying what people are kind of correlating together. Paul Hiller came out and said that there are more than just one species of aliens. His latest interview, he said that there was 4 different species that they've been visiting for thousands of years, and that they want to, quote, give us technology if we would stop the wars. And according to him, because of the atomic bomb, they decided that humans are a threat to the cosmos.
Wow.
And I mean, if you look at some of the kind of accusations here, let's just, let's hypothetically, let's talk about them in this kind of possibility here, because if we talk about aliens stopping nuclear Armageddon, when you go to the DMV, you understand that this is what the government produces. It shouldn't surprise you that there hasn't been a nuclear Armageddon, because these same kind of people have nuclear weapons. So, and there also have been many instances where humanity has almost blown itself up. There's many documented cases of alarms going off that were not really going off, of nuclear Armageddon that were stopped.
No. You know that story of the guy in the submarine?
Yep.
The Russian guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a false alarm that a nuke was fired from the U.S. And so they were like, under protocol, you got to fire that nuke in retaliation.
Yep.
And he said, no, I won't do it.
Yep, and he did not.
What if he really did? But
got-
the aliens stopped it.
It could be. He didn't follow basic procedures and protocols like he was asked to. So he disobeyed a lawful order, which we need more of
To the
in this
gulag.
world, which is extremely commendable. This man pretty much saved the world from nuclear Armageddon. Some people, have different theories that this was aliens. Another thing that came out through this latest revelation is that humans aren't ready, that we have to be, quote, sane and understanding. That was the exact quote by this Israeli professor, who said they want to first make us sane and understanding. Now, if you look at current events, especially how people are beating the crap out of each other because of their political gangs, I think we have a little bit of waiting to do until we all become sane and understand.
One of the things I was joking about was that COVID, and this is a joke, that the vaccine is because, you ever see War of the Worlds? The aliens come, but then they all die from like normal illnesses that are like we're immune to, or like don't bother us. So I'm like, there you go, right? Make everybody quarantine for a long time. Get rid of as much of the pathogens as possible. Then the Galactic Federation comes. I'm joking, by the way. I know someone's going to take it out of context. But Mike Cernovich tweeted this. On April 27th, he said, me, they've kept us inside because they want to reveal aliens. You, a very serious person. No, me. And then he links to a story from BuzzFeed. The Pentagon has officially released 3 videos showing UFOs. He just responded today with the Jerusalem Post saying, oh, and they mentioned the Israeli security chief. But we do have even more information. Just a few days ago, leaked Pentagon UFO report reveals shock pic of mystery silver cube over Atlantic as fears of aliens beneath the seas. Check this out. You can't really see. It's a tiny dot. Look at that. Zoom in. What is that? That's a crazy spaceship.
Yeah. Well, now the videos that we're talking about, that Cernovich was talking about, were declassified just 7 months ago.
Yeah.
And they come from 2007, 2017. They were released by the New York Times. They were released by a larger project of individuals coming together outside of government, including with Harry Reid, trying to get as much information out there as possible. Now, what's really interesting about the government declassifying these videos, it's the same government that's been lying about these videos and about their official task force that is working towards discovering UFOs. The United States for a very long time has had a task force. The U.S. military and the U.S. government has always been denying it, but now they're starting their own new task force, they just started a couple months ago, which is really interesting. Trump, 2 months ago, also came out and said that he is going to take a long and hard look into aliens, and then automatically he started talking about the military prowess of the United States, which maybe, hypothetically, the aliens said, uh-oh, we got to let Joe Biden win.
What if
the aliens
What if it's not
got Biden
China
in?
that's, the threat? What if Trump is actually fighting against the aliens?
He did start the Space Force, which is interesting to kind of theorize about.
And in the future, it's going to be the Earth globalists versus the galactivists.
Yes.
They're going to be like, we live on Earth. We're all from Earth. We're humans, not these, Gazorpians.
Now, I think this truly deserves to be discussed. We could laugh about it, but I do think people have their own kind of interpretations. It's important to note what people are kind of interpreting throughout some of this kind of information dump that we're seeing from some of these government officials. And some of them are saying that this could be fallen demons and angels. This is usually coming from the very religious crowd. A lot of conspiracists are saying that this is advanced U.S. technology to scare the public into submission, as documented and talked about through Project Bluebeam, which theorizes that a world of the world is coming together, and that hypothetically the U.S. government is going to control people by using fake aliens
like
in order
Watchmen.
to exactly.
You guys have you seen Watchmen?
The third group of people.
Some of it.
Have you read Watchmen? Michael Malice got mad at me.
Before we
last
get into
time.
that, third group of people are people who think there's UFOs out there, and that might be UFOs. So I think it's important to clarify
I've read
that.
so
but
much.
We've seen this in entertainment in Hollywood, just like we saw in Watchmen. What happened there?
Red.
Different.
Yes.
So it's originally a graphic novel, and they made a movie out of it. The movie is very different. In the graphic novel, it's the Cold War. There's a verge of nuclear apocalypse. So this the villain, basically, spoiler alert, it's from the 80s, I think. So if you haven't read it or seen the movie, he stages an alien invasion to create a unified enemy. So Earth must come together and avert nuclear apocalypse to defeat the aliens. And then there's stuff afterwards, Rorschach, and he's got his journal, and then someone finds it and stuff like that. But yeah, stage an alien invasion, because then you can get everyone to come together under a one world authority. But also think about intersectionality, right? The intersectionality, whatever you want to call it, the critical race theorists, critical gender theorists, they want to erase identity almost. It's weird though, because they're very much inflaming identity-based tensions. But if you look at the surface of what they're doing, it's all about inclusivity and diversity, and anyone can be anything they want. And so it's really, you can say that it's a conspiracy, but there really are people who want to create a one world government. And this is not a conspiracy, right? It's been since the end of World War II. We had the League of Nations, and we have North Atlantic, we have NATO, and now the UN. The goal of which is to stop countries from attacking and blowing each other up.
Hitler wanted a one world government that
well,
he was
a lot
in
of
charge of, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Well, so right now, one of the big movements we've seen from a lot of these, international interests has been trade agreements under the idea that creating a network of trade lines will inhibit warfare. And that's why they're adamant about ramming through ridiculous, we don't care, just make it happen. And that's why we've seen other bigger conspiracies about economic manipulation.
Globalization. But also interesting that you're talking about agreements, since another kind of revelation by this professor is that allegedly there's a contract between the aliens and the humans
Why would we need
to
one?
do testing. And the question I have is, who is enforcing this contract?
The church.
Yeah.
They told us that God is real, but it's actually aliens communicating with us.
You ever play Assassin's Creed?
No.
I don't know where Assassin's Creed is at now.
I played a little bit of it.
But the original was basically that aliens created seeded Earth, and then there's what they're actually finding is ancient technology. So it's a long-standing conspiracy or science fiction idea that what we view as religious or magical was actually just ancient tech.
What if us swearing allegiance to God is swearing allegiance to an alien force, and that Tesla was so tapped into the divine that he was getting the information, and he built these lightweight drone craft. Check this out. And then he built these lightweight aluminum craft that can be controlled from the ground, wireless electricity, but can also be controlled from the aliens. And that's how they're using us to create things that they can control.
You gotta slow down.
In
Never.
Serbia, I did,
No. You just said 3 different things that have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
How you like me now?
I did meet a Tesla secret society in Serbia that believed that Tesla was literally communicating with outer beings. So there are individuals who believe some of this stuff.
But to say that people praying to God are praying to aliens,
What
and
if
then
they
all of
are?
a sudden, but that's okay. We can stop
What if
there.
that's the compact?
Okay.
The contract.
We can then start talking about something different, right? Why is it that the kings and queens of all these different countries were kings and queens? You know why? Divine providence.
Yeah.
God told
The
them.
divine right of law.
Yes, it was their right
was
by
God.
God. So what if it was actually aliens saying, "We want you to be in charge"?
Dude, I'm wondering.
There's a lot of things we could, theorize about. We could say that if you do DMT, you see the aliens. But I think
No, those are elves.
there's two clear things here that are undeniable. One is that we're not ready. We're divided. We're fighting each other over absolute nonsense. I think that's partly true. And the second thing is, what was the second thing? Is that we need more information. there's so much lack of information that people are just making stuff up to fill in the holes, and we don't need to guess what
I disagree
happened.
about being ready.
I think when we look at the latest revelations by Harry Reid, who came out and said the government is lying, the government is hiding information from this, I think that's credible.
He said we had alien spacecraft or something like that.
Yes, I think that's credible. We need more information. We need more transparency. We need more accountability. And because we don't have it, we have all these theories. We don't have to concentrate on the theories. We should all concentrate on getting more accountability from our government to tell us what's going on here.
Okay, Mr. Anarchist. If there was a grand conspiracy covering up all these aliens that effective, they could easily stage any kind of conspiracy to unify the planet against aliens. The people will freak out and go nuts if an alien mothership appears and we're powerless to do anything against it. And that could disrupt the economy and result in billions dying because supply chains break and everything like that. So maybe Mike Cernovich was right. I don't know if he was being serious, but they're keeping us inside. They're breaking the supply chains now to cushion it. So when the aliens come out, the shock can only go so far.
I doubt they're that organized and that smart.
Have you seen that technology where Coca-Cola was beaming advertisements into the sky, and there were these giant like Coca-Cola advertisements, and then the countries were like, we're going to make it illegal because it's light pollution. What if they do that with an alien ship, like War of the Worlds, Orson Welles, as an entertainment thing, but people really believe it's a real alien craft and go crazy?
Could be, because if you look at the latest U.S. military technology, it is far older than what we know it to be. So there are many military advancements. There are many technological advancements that are kept away from the general public. So there could be a space beam or whatever kind of crazy weapons out there that we still don't know because it's still classified. Just like many of the airplanes that we see in movies, but existed for a very long time for military use, but we never knew they even existed.
What if I told you that all of this was already admitted to by previous United States presidents?
You're talking about Barack Obama.
Barack Obama said, the aliens won't let it happen. You will reveal all of their secrets. They exercise strict control over us. Let me reenact exactly what Obama said. He was having a very, very serious and important conversation with one of our great American thought leaders, Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes.
And he said, the aliens won't let it happen. You will reveal all their secrets. They exercise strict control over us. Or it was Obama, so he was like, you will reveal your secrets. I'm kidding. It was a gag bit. He did say it, but you take the quote out of context and people think it's real. So I actually have, this is funny, this is a UFO website where they're like, Obama said the aliens won't let it happen. They exercise strict control, and he's laughing. And then Jimmy Kimmel says, now there's going to be people who analyze everything you say and how you looked when you said it because it was a joke.
That's true.
He thinks he's joking.
And Bill Clinton made a similar comment as well. And again, some of these things are legitimately jokes, but there are some serious implications, just like with China. China literally built the largest radio dish and telescope so they could try to communicate with aliens. You look up...
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
And then if it's true the aliens are here, why would they build it?
Maybe they're not talking to the Chinese. Maybe the Chinese know something that we don't know about, but they're spending a tremendous amount of money.
You're saying
hunting
aliens are
down
racist?
for aliens. I don't know. Maybe they don't like how the Chinese are doing gene splicing right now to build super soldiers, which was allegedly happening from an article that just was released a couple days ago. Who knows? I have no idea. No one really knows until we get more answers from the government that clearly is lying about it. And we need more information.
I don't know, man. Did you listen to the 9 a.m. CNN tapes from Project Veritas?
No.
So you heard about this, right, Ian? Lydia?
No.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Project Veritas has recorded the 9 a.m. phone calls from CNN.
Yeah.
This is relevant, trust me. What you learn is that there is no grand conspiracy, just bumbling morons.
Yep.
You get the president of CNN, Jeff Zucker, being like, so today I think, man, Tucker Carlson's a racist, and maybe that's what we should talk about that. And they're like, I really agree. He's very racist. And you'd think, hearing this call, it's Jeff Zucker being like, all right, everyone, listen, today we're going to frame Tucker Carlson. We're going to accuse him of... No, he literally believes it. It's just a bunch of morons talking about their dumb moron stuff.
Well, they're supporting their special interests at the end of the day, and they make sure that they never bite the hand that feeds them. Now, it might not be such a sophisticated, complex thing like we see in major think tanks that usually provide all the talking points, but we do see it as a pretty effective regurgitating machine that just does what it's told. And maybe there's no orders top down, but maybe they just have the individuals that believe in what they believe in that are on the same page.
You want to know why? I'll be honest with you. I don't think aliens come here. Is that maybe they do, but it's like I was watching this video about life, and it was really, really interesting perspective. They said Think about the evolutionary distance between a human being and an ant. It's like 1 billion years or something like that. But still infinitely closer in, like how we function and thrive and the fuels we use and the air and things like that than an alien race on a planet that was, say, all water or, a different, chemical composition. But more importantly, they said, think about the difference between a human and a dog. Humans and dogs actually communicate very well for interspecies relationship. Dogs can learn words in English, especially really smart ones like border collies, but you can never explain to a dog what a highway is. You can't explain to a dog what an international trade route is. You can explain to the dog loud noise, scary, car hurt, very simple things. Now think about an advanced species that is able to travel, beyond the speed of light or interdimensionally or whatever. Why would they try and communicate with something infinitely separated from us?
Yeah.
That's why you got to take mushrooms. My buddy's dog accidentally got into a bag of his mushrooms.
It started talking.
It got really smart. It realized it was a dog, and it would like really get angry at us when we didn't treat it.
You don't know what it knew.
Well,
can't read its
persona.
mind.
Okay, let's stop talking about mushroom dogs here. But I disagree with you, and I do believe that there are aliens. I think that
Why?
I think, especially from the video footage we saw that was released of that unidentified flying object that was defying the laws of physics, defying the laws of science. There was propulsion.
Military.
Maybe that's also
We didn't
a
know about
possibility
nuclear bombs.
out there.
We didn't know about nuclear
but
bombs.
when it comes to this Israeli professor, and when it comes to Paul Heller, sitting down with them, looking them in the eyes, these are old individuals who have nothing to lose, who just, I think, were at the highest elements of government that are now on their deathbed trying to get as much information out there to inform the general public.
Listen.
I mean,
I agree. What I'm saying is, when you're at that age, they got nothing over you.
Exactly.
What are they going to threaten you with?
Exactly. So I think that adds an extra layer of credibility to some of their allegations. This Israeli professor said this, and I think I'm just gonna quote him directly because I think this is important. He said, quote, "If I had come up with what I'm saying today 5 years ago, I would have been hospitalized. Whenever I've gone with this in academia, they said the man has lost his mind. Today, they're already talking differently. I have nothing to lose. I received my degrees and awards. I am respected in universities abroad where the trend is also changing. I'm happy this trend is changing. It needs to change a little bit more. It's fun to joke about, but we need more information. We need more accountability. What the hell is the government hiding from us? Because they have a lot that we don't know.
Weapons. Let me tell you something very, very simple, right? How many planets exist that have the identical chemical composition to Earth?
A lot.
Identical?
Oh, identical,
Very
probably
few.
0.
Similar.
That we know about in the vast
Right,
universe?
that we know about. And based on calculations, I think it's fair to say a lot, but what is a lot relative to the, 40 tetragillion?
10,000 or something?
Maybe, right? Now think about this. Would life... So there's two ideas here. Alien life could look like who knows what. It could be a gigantic pulsating mass with like a 1,000 little tentacle arms. It wouldn't necessarily look like a human or have arms or legs. Think about a dolphin, right? Really smart. No hands. And underwater, they can't create fire to manipulate elements to create any kind, to break things down and create circuits and build. Dolphin's never going to build a rocket ship. It's not possible. So you have to think about, there's actually an argument for why aliens would probably, if they did exist, like our planet. The chemical composition allows us to manipulate elements to create computers and rockets and things like that, and other kind of technology that you can't do in a water or atmosphere that maybe would ignite instantly. So that means there may be a bunch of aliens, really smart ones, on a bunch of other planets that can't do anything, can never leave, or maybe their technology is just, they can only get to a certain level. But then if you look at where we're at, it's possible, because we have rocketry, that there will be another, alien species that came from very similar conditions where they had the right amount of oxygen in the atmosphere so they could create fire, allowing them to separate elements out and then do electrolysis and things like that. However, what if we're actually the aliens trapped in the oxygen atmosphere, and the other super advanced aliens live in this crazy planet where they can better access and manipulate all the different elements, and they look at us like dolphins who are trapped forever and can never leave.
You hear of panspermia, that the universe is seeded basically by life forms.
That's the Star Trek lore.
And that fungal spores, which can exist in deep space and survive, were sent throughout the universe for whatever reason and landed in our oceans, and then evolved over time, started to eat other fungus and became animal. And that's kind of, we're, instead of evolutions, we're actually adaptations of that life form for this environment.
It's like Prometheus.
So you're saying the Earth is not flat?
Yes, that's basically where I was going. That's the gist of
No,
it.
it's a concave bowl, right? Isn't that the actual theory?
With a turtle on it?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
No. They say when the people say the Earth is flat, it's actually got a ridge around it of
Yeah.
ice. So it's
The
technically
firmament,
it's a
right.
bowl. It's a bowl, and so it collects the little space dust, and the little fungus comes and rains down. And
I like that.
you know what I love about flat Earth? Do you know how they think gravity works?
No.
Nope.
They think you got a stink bug on your mic.
Hey,
Just
buddy.
leave it
They
on there,
think
it's
they
fine.
think that the flat Earth is exponentially speeding up, moving upward,
Oh, interesting.
sucking us down, and that mathematically the speed will never stop.
Can you tell me
increasing.
that one more time? I was looking at the bug.
They believe that the Earth is exponentially moving faster in an upward direction,
Oh, that's possible.
pinning us down. Yeah,
We could also be falling and the entire universe that we perceive could be falling at the same speed, and we wouldn't know
Oh, yeah.
because it was all relative to
Maybe that's a better
itself.
way to put it. We're upside down, falling, and we're standing on it, just like. Anyway,
So I think what's happened is octopi, humans, our brain stem creature that is inside this saltwater sack is like an alien form.
well, the brainstem is salt water.
So I think that we're all kind of alien life forms that were seeded to Earth, but these craft that are flying around are like Tesla lightweight aluminum craft that the government co-opted from his laboratory and is secretly lying to us and telling us that it's aliens
Yeah,
to
but-
throw us off the trail.
But I could make up a million and one things. You know what I mean?
We could keep going all night here.
Right,
Yeah, we
right,
sure
right, right.
could.
So let's do this. Let's do this. Let me tell you what I think's really going on. There's a lot of people watching right now. I know. You're staring into that camera. I'm staring in the camera. You're looking at your computer screen and you see but a humble Tim Pool looking you in the eyes and you're saying, "Please, Tim, I want aliens to be real. Please, just tell me they're real." And I'll say, "No." Sorry to burst your bubble, Luke.
I'll
Think
say yes.
Aliens are not real. Military technology.
Could be.
Military. Hold on. Military technology, because I'm gonna blow your minds. We got another story here. Check this out. Havana syndrome likely caused by pulsed microwave energy. Government study finds. Exclusive report on neurological symptoms of U.S. diplomats in China, Cuba does not address whether directed energy was delivered intentionally by a weapon, but it's called Havana syndrome. People were getting crazy brain debilitating effects. They were hearing a weird humming sound, and it was likely a newly developed weapon that we don't know about.
And it could have been rolled out by the Chinese or the Russians, which have pretty good ties with Cuba. Now, the Cubans are saying that this was just a generator. Obviously,
weapons,
the
man.
other diplomats are saying it's something else. But we do know microwave weapons have existed for a very long time. It was deployed in Iraq
Yeah,
during
what's
during
it called
the
in
Second
Iraq?
Gulf War.
What's the name of it?
I forgot the exact
So,
name of it.
the one in
Lydia,
Iraq-
we might have to look that up.
The weapon they used in Iraq makes you feel like you're on fire. They
burns
point.
your body from the inside. And a similar weapon is reported to be used in the contested territory between China and India. Right
Interesting.
now, Chinese and Indian troops have literally killed themselves in a dispute over a slot of land which both of the countries are recognizing as theirs. They have put their troops on the border, and one of the conditions that they had, they actually made a treaty, is that the soldiers that would be on the border wouldn't be armed with rifles or guns or any actual deadly weapons like machine guns, but the Chinese allegedly, according to the Indians, rolled out a microwave weapon and started microwaving a bunch of Indian troops, which forced them to leave, and now the Chinese took their territory in this contested area.
It is Raytheon's Active Denial System, a non-lethal directed energy weapon developed by the U.S. military designed for area denial, perimeter security, and crowd control. Informally, the weapon is also called the heat ray, since it works by heating the surface of targets, such as the skin of targeted human beings. Raytheon had marketed a reduced-ranged version of this tech. The ADS was deployed in 2010 with the U.S. military in the Afghanistan war, but was withdrawn without seeing combat. On August 20th, 2010, the LA Sheriff's Department announced its intent to use the tech to control incarcerated people in the Pitchess Detention Center in LA, stating the intent to use it in an operational evaluation in situations such as breaking up prisoner fights. As of 2014, the ADS was only a vehicle-mounted weapon, though U.S. Marines and police were both working on portable versions. ADS was developed under the sponsorship of the U.S. The DoD Non-Lethal Weapons Program, with the Air Force Research Laboratory as the lead agency. There are reports that Russia and China are developing their own versions of the active denial system. But let's talk about a kind of weapon that doesn't heat your skin, but goes into your brain and causes permanent vision damage, It causes, what is it called? Vertigo. You lose your balance. You feel crazy. And just general malaise. Check this out. NBC News reports the mysterious neurological symptoms experienced by American diplomats in China and Cuba are consistent with the effects of directed microwave energy, according to a long-awaited report by the National Academies of Sciences that cites medical evidence to support the long-held conviction of American intelligence officials. The report, obtained Friday by NBC News, does not conclude the directed energy was delivered intentionally by a weapon, as some U.S. officials have long believed, but it raises that disturbing possibility. 5G. I'm kidding.
6G?
Oh, gosh.
6G. Have you guys seen that show on Amazon?
Truth Seekers?
Truth Seekers.
Yes,
No.
6G.
So it's like this guy works for a phone company. He's installing 5G. And then I don't want to spoil the show. I'm gonna spoil
Give me a
little
little
bit.
tease.
But eventually, like they're working on it, and then the guy who runs the cell phone company goes, "We have to deploy. What does he call it? 8? Was it 8G?
8G, yeah.
And they're like, "What do you mean 8? We're on 5." And he goes, "We've got it all ready. We're just holding on to it." And that's funny too, is in terms of conspiracies, because I'd be willing to believe. I remember when 4G tech was coming out, cell phone companies were holding back because they were like, people are still paying for 3G, so we're going to do it real slow to make as
Right.
much money as possible before rolling out the better tech. I digress. We now have news reports. You know what's crazy about the Havana syndrome thing is that when it was first reported, it was people in Cuba, U.S. diplomats saying they were getting headaches, they were becoming light sensitive, they couldn't look at light, they had to wear glasses, special glasses, they were feeling fatigued, they were getting dizzy. And everybody said, oh, it's probably just hysteria. That's what we heard from so many reporters, many national security reporters. They said, this is not real. It's a placebo effect, mass hysteria from people who report something and then someone else gets scared and then thinks they're experiencing. And then everyone just starts to claim they have these symptoms. Now it's real. Now we have a report saying, no, it's real. Now we don't know who's doing it. But when we talk about aliens and stuff like that, I think it is infinitely, well, maybe I shouldn't say infinitely, but astronomical odds more likely, or less like, it's astronomical that it's aliens. It's extremely, extremely likely that once again, as we've already seen throughout generation after generation and hundreds and thousands of years, government making new weapons and keeping them a secret.
Or corporations.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, both could be true, and now corporations in the military-industrial complex are making new weapons, new technologies, and just new ideas and concepts that our mind hasn't even conceived the possibility of even becoming a reality. So I think, especially if you look at the history of the U.S. military and the rollout of their devices, of their weapons, of their ships, of their aircraft, it's always beyond the scope of what humans could imagine. The Germans had a very impressive space program, and also
The Bell.
Yes.
Is that real? We were playing playing this game called Conspiracy Theory. Is it called Conspiracy Theory, the game,
It's
or
just
something?
called conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
I could be wrong.
It's a trivia game, and I'm really offended because some of their questions were wrong, and I was right, and I didn't get the points for it anyway. But
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, no, it
I'm
was.
not, okay.
They said that the hand sign associated with Illuminati was the OK hand sign.
That's so weird.
That's not true.
Definitely
It's the
not.
devil horns. Anyway.
Oh.
They mentioned one of the questions was the Nazis had something called the Bell, I guess.
Yeah.
What was that? It was like anti-grav or something?
They were working.
conspiracy
The
theories,
Nazis were working on some high advanced level stuff. They were working on either nuclear weapon. They were working on, they also made a lot of advancements when it came to airplanes and propulsion that the world has never seen before. And when we look at
Rocketry.
something,
What do you mean, rocketry?
yeah, when we look at something like the Manhattan Project, we have to understand that there was a lot of Nazis also a part of that program with Project Paperclip, where the United States military literally ran through Germany as much as they could and got as many people in the German scientific community and brought them back to the United States.
Before the war was over.
Gave them asylum.
No, it was
the,
after.
After the
Yeah,
war.
they got
But this
asylum.
program, they got asylum, and they never faced any retribution, any crimes for the horrible things that they did.
Who was the guy who made rockets?
There's a lot of
Yeah,
No,
the,
there's-
the
there's-
V2 rocket.
Yeah. Like the main guy had that famous quote where he said it performed perfectly, just landed on the wrong planet because he was actually dreamed of going to the stars.
I'm going to look it up.
Check it out. The Manhattan Project. Do you know what the U.S. invented? The Manhattan Project.
the nuclear weapon.
Which one?
The first one.
Bomb?
What was the first one? What kind of bomb was it?
Not hydrogen.
It was the atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a specific kind of atomic bomb.
Yeah.
It's called the gravity bomb. You know what that means? It means you drop it.
Yep.
What happened after the United States went to Germany and snatched up all them rocket scientists?
Didn't
They
have to
started
drop it
putting the
anymore.
warheads on top of rockets, and then we got the intercontinental ballistic missile.
Werner von Braun
Yes, Werner von Braun.
invented the V2 rocket, or was credited with it.
So, man, I tell you,
Head of the department.
we ended up with some crazy stuff when we took the Nazi scientists that came to the United States, and then we took our understanding of all these crazy weapons. You know what the Nazis were building? Like massive artillery, right? To fire like ridiculously huge shells. They had a very different way of thinking about weapons, putting rocketry and stuff like that. So for us, it was like, let's create a massive explosion and just wipe everything out. Then we go over there after that and we're like, hey, those things you built that went really far, can we put our thing on it so that it blows up and goes really far at the same time? Yep. Do you know what a MIRV is? A multiple independently targeting re-entry vehicle. It's an intercontinental ballistic missile that can carry 8 to 12 warheads. It is about, my understanding is about 1,000 times more powerful than the bombs dropped on Japan in World War II. It flies up into the stratosphere, breaks open, and drops 8 to 12 warheads. That is the insanity. People don't realize how far we went with nuclear weapons. We went nuts. Tsar-Bomba, that thing, it was insane.
And how many times we tested them, and how many times we actually launched nuclear weapons during testing facilities. I mean, we're talking about in the thousands of times the United States government released nuclear bombs and blew them up. Some of the worst scientists that committed the most awful human experiments in Nazi Germany,
Japan,
were brought back to the United States as part of this project. And when it comes to the nuclear weapon, there's many political scholars that believe the only reason the United States dropped the nuclear weapon was to show a sign of strength against Russia, the USSR at the time, to show them that they mean business, because at the time the USSR was also grabbing as many scientists as they could and rushing towards Berlin to make sure that they could get as much control of that area as they could. And of course, when we look at history, when we look at the history of the heart attack gun, something that's not widely talked about, but the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, had a gun all the way back in the 70s
cool.
that was that's not cool, Lydia. That's
so
not cool at all.
That's
knowing
amazing.
that the CIA could literally shoot you
Look
with
at
a
this, pull
dart
this up.
and forced you to have a heart attack or force you to get very serious cancer. And this was all the way back in the 70s that was revealed through major important Senate commission hearings that revealed a lot of this information and the astronomical power that the intelligence agencies had on our society.
They used the heart attack gun. We have a story. This is from wearethemighty.com. NewsGuard certified. I'm doing that because we are in this conspiracy land,
Dark
right?
waters.
Check this out. Spurred by the publication of Seymour Hersh's article in the New York Times in December 1974, the U.S. Congress decided to look into just what its internal and external intelligence agencies were doing in the name of the American people. They found, among other things, a gun that caused heart attacks, a weapon that had been used against the U.S. political enemies and beyond.
Yeah, and that was 50 years ago. So now imagine what they have right now.
That's
and
why
to
I'm
think
saying
that they don't have microwave electronic weapons, you're fooling yourself. And you're saying the thing about the aliens, but both could be true. The U.S. could be building up their military might and their military technology along with the Chinese and the Russians and all of them. And aliens could also exist at the same time. There could be some training programs. So
I'm just saying,
they're not exclusive to each other.
There was
all I'm saying.
One of the stories I was reading about. So you saw these stories where they're like UFO videos got released, right?
Yeah.
The UFOs are captured by military jets,
Navy, right?
So the
Yeah.
ones that get released, it's like Air Force pilots are flying. The funniest thing about some of these stories, I was reading one, and it was like we were about 100 miles away from the advanced, intelligence and technology research center for the U.S. Navy, and then we saw these strange vehicles, and I'm like,
So weird.
yes,
Unrelatedly.
Tell me more about where you were and why you were there.
Could be. Again, anything's possible. We don't know. We need more information from the government. I think that's true, and I think everyone could agree about that. But when it comes to gain of function research, when it comes to heart attack guns, when it comes to microwave weapons, can we admit that this is getting a little bit out of hand, that this is a little bit crazy, especially with the latest,
We need the aliens.
especially with the latest allegations from the United States accusing China of literally gene splicing and manipulating human beings to be super soldiers.
Dude, it's completely out of hand.
Yes.
I mean, what?
Well, this is an accusation from an anonymous U.S. intel source, which should be questioned to the
Right.
highest extent. But it wouldn't surprise me if China or even the United States at this point was doing something to create super
And
soldiers.
it's probably the corporate power is really getting out of control
This
too.
is nuts.
Yes.
Check this story out. China conducting biological tests
Yes.
to create super
Yeah.
soldiers, U.S. spy chief says.
That's recent.
Intelligence Director John Ratcliffe claims human testing aims to develop super soldiers with biologically enhanced capabilities.
Yeah, 2 days ago, the article came from an anonymous source. Now I guess he's coming
The Guardian.
forward with it. Yep.
The Guardian. This is, you want to play, look. I keep saying NewsGuard certified. I say it because we're talking about aliens and space
Super
weapons.
soldiers.
Heart attack
And I
guns.
know someone from Media Matters is sitting there going like, ooh, they're writing it all down. It's The Guardian. The Guardian says that it's John Ratcliffe is saying this. Check this out. Writing in the Wall Street Journal, Ratcliffe said, quote, "The intelligence is clear. Beijing intends to dominate the U.S. and the rest of the planet economically, militarily, and technologically. Many of China's major public initiatives and prominent companies offer only a layer of camouflage to the activities of the Chinese Communist Party." Ratcliffe said China had gone to extraordinary lengths to achieve its goal. Quote, "U.S. intelligence shows that China has even conducted human testing on members of the People's Liberation Army in hope of developing soldiers with biologically enhanced capabilities. There are no ethical boundaries to Beijing's pursuit of power." Remember it was a year ago? We learned that a rogue scientist was genetically altering babies, and they
Yes, I
arrested him.
remember. And he disappeared.
Actually, yeah, check this out.
He's
So
probably
this-
working for the U.S.
About
government.
a year
right
ago.
now.
No. I got a different thought. Chinese scientists who edited babies' genes jailed for 3 years. Two theories. One, they saw what he was doing and they said, "I want your research. We want to weaponize it." Two, he was a scientist who was familiar with their research and went rogue and was using it, and they were like, "Stop. Don't let
Drawing
people find out what
attention.
you're drawing too much attention to what we're doing with these programs."
Yeah, if this doesn't show you that China is preparing for war, I don't know what other sign you need to see. It's right there on the wall. I mean, when you look at all the money that they're spending, literally trying to communicate with aliens, building up their entire naval fleet, building up military man-made islands, microwaving soldiers on the border of India, and stealing U.S. military technology that they've been getting from Israel. That's another thing that I don't know if you want to look up, Lydia, but Israel many times has given out intelligence secrets from the United States and sold it to China. There was even an Israeli defense minister that had to resign in a major controversy because China was able to get their hands on advanced U.S.
How
So
long ago
technology.
was
listen. We have the story about India and China and the microwave weapons. So India's disputing the claim that China routed their troops with microwave blaster. I don't know who to believe, but I kind of believe the microwave
The
guns are
initial
real.
reports was that Indians felt like they were being lit up in fire from the inside, and then they had to run away because the pain was excruciating.
Well, so
that was the original reports that
let's
came
let's
from
talk
that
about what's
area.
going on with these super soldiers. Like, what exactly are they doing? Because listen, we got all this sci-fi, we got all these movies. You got things like have you watched The Boys?
No.
Have you seen The Boys?
Yeah.
Awesome show, and it's basically spoiler alert for those that haven't seen the second season. Or haven't, look, it's been out for a while now, so you have no one to blame but yourself if you haven't watched it.
Homelander.
Nazi scientists escaped to the U.S. and they developed a super soldier serum that gives people superpowers, but mostly only works in babies. It's most stable in babies, and they're trying to figure out how to get it into people, and they've kind of figured it out. So in this show, people can fly and they can shoot laser beams and they heal and they're invulnerable. Clearly, gene editing can't do that. But what if they
Yeah.
made someone have the maximum jump height?
You've heard
Like
of
the most-
acoustic levitation?
Well, we have to understand, right?
You can't. A human's not going to.
I don't know. If you can
now-
vibrate liquid and make
No,
it
no.
Right
levitate,
now,
then
if
why can't a
parents
human?
have enough money, they could take the sperm from the guy, the egg from the mom, and they could go to a laboratory that literally picks out the best combination where you could select the height,
Right, we're already
the
doing it.
genetic disposition of your child. So it's already happening. So to think that this is not happening on a military level where they're taking the best elite special forces Green Beret guys and taking their DNA and duplicating it to match with the best of the best when it comes to fighting and maiming and killing other people, you'd be kidding yourself. There's been many movies about this that were fictional where the guy finally gets some consciousness, the super soldier that's created finally starts fighting back against the Empire and takes them down because they made him too strong, and we could hope for that, but life is not a movie. And this is absolutely terrifying that there's super soldiers out there that have been genetically put together.
You want to know why that's it's a problem?
to be assassins.
You want to know why that's a very serious problem?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. First of all, what they're going to be doing is likely programming individuals. This is the Guardian, John Ratcliffe. Like, this is being reported. Okay. They can't just take a random person who's loyal to the People's Liberation Army and say, we're going to, inject you with this serum. It's going to change your DNA or something. They're gene editing babies, and probably people to a certain degree, like adults, but babies is the easiest way to do it. They'll grow into it. They're probably then raising these kids in special conditions and training them to be super soldiers. Now, here's the problem with genetic engineering. If that escapes into the human gene pool and you don't know what those genes will do in the long run, you could taint the entire human gene pool with some failing genome. And then in 50 to 100 years, this genes become widespread in most populations, and then everyone gets a debilitating disease and dies.
Is this coronavirus?
No.
Are
I'm not
you
talking about
sure?
viruses. I'm
I mean,
talking.
were they working on a
This is
on
not a virus.
gene
I'm
editing
talking about
thing in a
genome.
lab using
Come
a
on,
virus?
man.
You can use viruses to
Yeah, but
edit genes.
you're totally derailing off of everything I'm talking
No,
about.
I'm
Listen,
questioning if that's a byproduct
No, they use
of the
E.
gene editing
coli.
program.
Gene editing is E. coli. They don't use coronavirus for this. What I'm saying is that when we genetically engineer crops,
Yeah, you can use viruses to edit genes.
yes, E. coli, not coronavirus.
How do you? You don't know that.
I'm talking. What? Yes, they do gene editing by using E. coli to manipulate the genetic structure or something like that. I don't know. There was a big green.
E. coli is a bacteria.
But you brought up a very good point, because again, people are playing, like they're gods. They're essentially coming up with these powers that they're going to be using for the quote greater good. Because if you're in China, the greater good is to create super soldiers to fight the bad Americans, and the Americans are being told the same thing. We need to create probably super soldiers. I wouldn't doubt that this project is being done on some kind of offshoot contractor that doesn't face any liability or accountability like a government agency. And when we look at the Defense Department, they are becoming more and more dependent on doing a lot of their experiments and a lot of their very borderline unethical activities through private companies and third parties that, again, you can't get any records of what they're actually doing. So
Here's what I'm saying.
Here.
We've seen selected gene editing in many different crops. And then there's been accusations for a long time that these companies will drive up to a farm and chuck seeds into the field so that the gene mixes with all of their crops, and then they can copyright it, or they have
Monsanto.
Monsanto has intellectual property ownership over the genome. Then they sow the seeds everywhere so that every plant in these farms interbreeds with them, and then they come back later, take a sample, and say, aha, you're using our proprietary technology, you owe us money. This eventually destroys the existence of the original crop. So I was reading something. I don't know how you have to those listening, fact check me on this one. I was reading there used to be hundreds of different kinds of apples, and now there's only like a small handful of varieties. There used to be a bunch of different kinds of potatoes, and now we only have a small amount of varieties because we consume and deplete one and then favor another and replace it. So like you'll go and you'll see like a certain potato, you'll eat it and say, well, this one's better, and you'll plant that one instead. If they're editing human beings, and then let's say in 20 years they abandon the program, and now these edited human beings are just wandering around and and then start having families and kids. How long until those edited genes exist across the world?
Especially if they're like enticing humans, like faster, more attractive, then their genes are going to spread faster naturally.
But what if they're also bred to be more vicious and not to have that empathetic response because they're supposed to be killing machines? What if the goal is to create a super soldier, which means they can't hesitate when killing for any reason? And then you get these people start having kids, and also you got just generations of sociopaths.
I think it's going to happen. I mean, I just think it's like the Fallout future of you got the mutants and you have the cyborgs, and like some people have like genetic legs that they're genetically altered to run faster. Some people have cybernetic implants that let them run faster. Some people have their eyes are genetically so that they can see 10 times further. Some people have cybernetic contact lenses so they can see 10 times further.
And while trillions of dollars is being spent on this madness, there's still people in Flint who can't get clean drinking water. I mean, for freak's sakes,
it's
I mean,
like,
are you kidding me? And I think this is important to talk about and to kind of theorize, because this is a reality, and there is a big possibility that these genetically modified super soldiers already exist. Genetic modification already happens to our food, and there's this famous quote by Albert Einstein that said, World War IV would be fought with sticks and stones. And to me, World War V would be fought with sticks and stones. I don't know what World War IV.
Let me read the quote. It's a good quote. I do not know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones.
Yes.
I love that guy.
And I think that's absolutely true with the scale of military advancement and technology that we have come to, that already is very difficult for human beings to understand and to deal with. I mean, human beings already are dealing with a massive psychological negative effect because of the internet. There's no denying the psychological downtroddenness of humanity, mainly because of these little dopamine devices that have been gamified by special interests that literally run our entire lives now. So
I can tell you that World War IV will not be fought with sticks and stones. I can tell you that we are in it right now, and it is fifth generational warfare.
Yeah.
It is information and propaganda, control of opinions. So this is something I've been saying for quite some time, and I didn't make it up. There's actually several research papers published on the matter. What is the goal of war? And we've talked about this, right? You want to assert control over a group of people, gain access to resources, or just, have them work on your behalf for some reason, or maybe even prevent a potential conflict. In the past, the easiest way to get it done was when all else fails, you point a gun at them and say, do it or else. And you suppress them and
you get rid of the ruling class, you get rid of the officers, the professors, any professionals in the society, they're just
force,
gone.
But you come in with force. You come in with guns ablaze. You come in with tanks.
Yeah, just like my people saw
World War II.
Yeah, with World War II, with Germany and of course the USSR. They took over, took anyone influential, and they just mandated everything to be done their way.
We are in the information age. There's no reason to do any of that when you can convince people to bow for you, to give up, to destroy their own economies. And look at what's happening to the U.S. right now. If I had to make a bet, if someone came to me and said, would you be willing to place a substantial wager on the U.S. is under attack through propaganda and influence campaign so the country destroys itself, I would say, yes, I believe
Yeah,
that.
it's weird to think of it as an attack. That's, I think, the dissonance that people are facing. Because
the scary aspect of this is when you see the amount of control that China has on Hollywood.
Yep.
That should absolutely terrify you when you see, I think there was even a recent movie that was just totally banned in China because of one little small phrase. And then that movie is going to lose out on a ton of revenue that a whole bunch of Hollywood executives that literally are compared to Satanists, that's what Hollywood executives are compared to because they would sell their soul, are just shaking at the boots because of how much money and how much profit they could be getting. And when you look at that, just one small example of our everyday lives, it should terrify you.
Oh, yeah. We had the NBA. We had the famous, basketball players coming out and saying, leave China alone. We had the Hearthstone game players at Free Hong Kong. We have, in this country, a large group of powerful and influential people who have already sworn capitalistic allegiance to the Chinese Communist Party. No joke, no exaggeration.
Yeah, well, this is why also the Central Intelligence Agency from its inception always swooned Hollywood producers, actors to be a part of its official psychological programs and its official agency, since, of course, the CIA also has a very big involvement in Hollywood, and they know culture, movies, music, everything that we do when we
fifth generational warfare,
when we don't try to think and we just try to enjoy ourselves, is being used and weaponized in a way for a particular outcome that we don't even know about, whether it's subliminal messaging or just outright propaganda or disinformation or psychological warfare. We have to understand we're in the middle of it right now. There's a major war happening. There's a lot of lives being lost. There's a lot of people killing themselves when they don't need to be killing themselves. There's a lot of people driven into making mistakes with their lives because they see rich and famous people doing it, and they're like, I could do that too. I should take this pill or this narcotic, or I should be a degenerate this way as well. The culture and how it's being usurped so people become their own worst enemies is something to really highlight and to look at, because if you look at what's been coming out in the TV shows, in the movies, in the mainstream media, it's all against families. It's all against breaking people apart, making sure you fight each other, making sure you hate each other on the micro difference that you could even find in a human being. So
that's where we're at right now.
Yes.
We have that story. Well, I'll just pull up the article. We had this story. I covered this earlier in the morning. Macomb County man says he was targeted with explosives due to his politics. 2 mortars, common weapon used by Antifa, was thrown into his house by someone who drove by, got out, chucked them into his house, exploded, get a big old Trump sign. Now, we don't know if this was politically motivated, but it's an example of social media breeding this tribalistic hatred. But here's what I don't understand then. If the CIA is as good as they are at what they do, why are they allowing it? Why would they allow this country to eviscerate itself?
That's a very good question because it does essentially mean people are shooting themselves in the foot. But when we look at the history of the CIA, they have a long history of doing a lot of immoral, illegal things that haven't been done ethically at all.
But here's my question: are they doing?
I don't know.
Are they doing it for the country to strengthen the country, or what?
Now, there's a good analogy here to really kind of consider and to think about. If you were a farm owner and you had a whole bunch of wild animals all over the place, would it be better for you to subjugate them, to control them, to lock them up in cages and to do what you want them to do? Or would you want a farm to be free roaming and running around? And I think there's an element of this that we do have to understand, that there are individuals that do want to subjugate individuals to benefit off of them. And I think that is true. Now, the motives of the CIA, we don't know. We just know their history, which is riddled in a lot of seedy, illegal, illicit activities. Heart attack guns. Who in their right mind creates a heart attack gun?
And that's
It's
verified.
been
We
around
verified
since
that.
Yeah.
from the beginning,
Yes.
like secretly killing the king, poisoning them or doing
Yeah.
it so that you don't have to be involved.
It's the way things have always been.
When you
man.
make excuses for the greater good, you're essentially becoming a large problem for everyone, but you're convincing yourself that you're doing it for the righteous causes. And when you have unlimited power that's unchecked, unlimited money that they just get blanket sent to them no matter what, that drives a person insane. And when we look at the CIA, when we look at presidents that try to curtail their power, what has happened to
bad
them?
things happen.
Kennedy, Kennedy notably spoke out against the CIA.
Well, Trump as well. So
man.
but Trump also
Yep.
kind of flip flopped on that. But there were times where he went at them pretty hard, pretty significantly.
Yep.
And
then we had a whistleblower come out. Don't say his name.
yes,
And he worked with the CIA.
exactly.
And it was ridiculous. Absolutely, it was the pretext for impeachment. And now we have you seen what recently came out with Democracy Institute?
No.
So they're pollsters. They predicted Trump was going to win based on several metrics. This guy came out recently on Life, Liberty, and Levin on Fox News and said, not only did Joe Biden, or I shouldn't say not only, but I'll say this is my personal opinion. He pointed out there are non-polling bellwether metrics that are never wrong, like party registration and voter enthusiasm, never wrong. Joe Biden not only beat every single bellwether metric that was against him, he won in almost every single bellwether region. So you've got the 3 bellwether states, he lost all of them. And you've got 19 bellwether townships, he lost 18.
Yeah.
So you hear about this kind of stuff. And Sam Harris, I did a segment about this earlier. Sam Harris was talking about, he tweeted a story from the New York Times. Why do people believe the election was rigged? What rational thinking person hears that Joe Biden, who didn't campaign, who was in his basement half the time, had no one show up to his rallies, failed in every bellwether metric? So these are, again, registration numbers across the state, the amount of primary votes he got, the media attention he got, Google searches he got, mask sales, more silly mask and cookie sales, but these do always show who wins. And 18 out of 19 bellwether townships and the 3 bellwether states. That all happened. Ignore all other accusations of fraud or whatever. And then you come out and say that, a regular person's going to be like, what? But then he made a better point. He said, show someone the data from the night of the election that Trump had improved his vote count among the working class, the white working class, minorities, the black community, and they would easily conclude he was overperforming for an incumbent and was clearly the winner. But after all of that, Joe Biden is the single greatest president in American history, who got more votes than Barack Obama, who had tens of thousands of people rallying for him, one of the most popular presidents in history, who holds a 95% plus approval rating among Democrats. Then people say, you take that, and I'm not talking about fraud. Then you take the down ballot victories and the undervotes in the hundreds of thousands for Joe Biden. And then you ask people if they believe that Joe Biden won, and they're going to tell you no. I'm sorry.
When you say down ballot victories, that means a bunch of Republicans.
The Republicans won in every state race. They won every state. They won. They won massive gains in the House, and are just doing better and better as time goes on. They held the Senate, so it was tremendous. Other pollsters have said that this looks like your typical incumbent victory. The incumbent is on the ticket. People go to vote for him, and they vote down ballot in favor of the party, so the party wins. Joe Biden, the greatest president in American history. Congratulations.
80 million votes. And historically, the incumbent always usually gets in, except
So
on
I'm
very
not.
rare
I
occasions.
am not saying any fraud at all.
You're just saying aliens.
No. Yes, right. Alien. No,
Yeah.
listen. What I'm saying right now, I am not accusing anybody of fraud. Okay, you can talk about the evidence. I'm just pointing out, Joe Biden did all of these things, and that being true, these are all true things. Joe Biden is the greatest president in American history. Period. End of question. No, that's it. That's the only conclusion.
Is that NewsGuard approved?
Yes, everything
good.
I pointed out is absolutely fact. The bellwether districts, the metrics, these are facts.
I feel like I just ran. You probably experienced this where you work
Ohio,
out
Florida,
so
Iowa?
hard. You work out and you're done and nothing matters.
when
You're
Trump-
just so exhausted.
when
that
Trump
all
wa-
that matters is that you can relax. And that's how I feel about this election. Like there's just, how can we can't prove anything. I mean, maybe that's hyperbole. Maybe we can prove things.
When Trump won Iowa on election night, I remember when people were like, "Whoa, there it is! Trump just won Iowa."
Well,
Meaningless.
Yeah, I mean, there's also talk about Trump literally trying to announce that he's going to be running for 2024.
He said
during
it.
the
There's a
inauguration.
video of him saying it.
So, I mean, man, we're living in interesting times to say the least.
It's ridiculous. If everything that went down, Trump's not going to win in 2024. If he's not winning now and everyone else is, it's over. And I tell you this, I think the Democrats are going to win in Georgia too.
If they do, that means they're going to be controlling all of the government except for the Supreme Court. And the Supreme,
No, that's not, you're wrong. They're
Not
going to
the
pack the
Senate?
courts immediately.
if they do pack the courts, yes.
They're gonna add
then
4
it's-
justices, make it a
it's
7-6 majority.
Checkmate. And
But doesn't the Republicans have
game
the
over.
Senate?
No, if the Democrats win the 2 seats in Georgia, the tiebreaker is Kamala Harris.
Oh.
And I don't look. The Georgia runoff race, Trump's not on the ticket. They needed Trump to win. It didn't work in 2018 without Trump. The New York Times even reported Trump
Wasn't there
supporters
3 recounts now in Georgia?
Sort of.
Yes.
Sort of. Trump wants a hard signature audit where they compare. There's also reports that the chain of custody was broken on absentee ballots for like 100,000 plus. And they just don't care. The judges don't care. The judges are like, I am not going to be the person who says I object to this.
Right.
So
I feel
So
other-
we would rather have these weird, like, so probably a better example would be the 20,000 names, the database from the Voter Integrity Project of people who didn't live in Georgia, lived in other states and voted twice. The judges in these cases are like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm not getting
That's
involved.
not a good judge.
We don't have the judges who will do anything about it. I'm not saying widespread fraud did anything other than, I'm not saying it caused any change in the election. I'm just saying Joe Biden is the greatest president in the history of the
What do
United
you mean
States.
he got the most votes?
No, the greatest.
He's not even president yet.
No, hold on. A man who doesn't need to campaign
Oh, right.
to get 80 million votes.
Truly
is the-
amazing.
Talk
truly,
about
truly.
magnetic.
Oh, yeah.
Just
I mean, look,
charisma
Very
he
prolific
oozes.
speaker as
You
well.
Everyone loves him.
You can point out that people hate Trump. But come on, man.
Nobody loves Biden.
So do you think it's still
Nah.
going to go to the Supreme Court?
It is. So I don't know what the latest news is because we've been preparing for this show, but tomorrow is the safe harbor deadline for the Electoral College. And there are active lawsuits in several states. So I don't know if Congress or state legislatures might try and say the results were contested. The safe harbor deadline passed. We did not certify. We resolve the disputes to certification.
We'll be like, come on, man, just
The left
certify.
is arguing that because they're already certified, we're done. The electors are going. But in Georgia, they're trying to call a special session, and the governor, who's a Republican, said, no, I won't do it. In Pennsylvania, they tried doing it. But in Pennsylvania, the Supreme Court has requested the response from state lawyers as to the constitutionality of mail-in voting by tomorrow morning. Arizona, we just saw Kelly Ward file to the Supreme Court of Arizona trying to decertify the results. I'm not saying anything's going to happen. I'm just saying that's where we're at so far. And tomorrow is probably when we get a better picture of what's going to happen. But, just across the board, every step of the way, Trump has been, kind of losing out. He's had some major political victories, but he's had major legislative failures.
Yeah.
Losses, I should say.
Well, a lot of people are describing this as the last stand, that if there's something not overturned or if the Supreme Court doesn't, make a decision here, that if the Democrats get control of the Congress, of the Senate, of the White House,
of the House, of the Senate.
and then potentially also the Supreme Court, if they pack it, it's
over.
going to be total game over.
Open
There's going to
borders.
be a lot of open immigration that's going to turn a lot of blue cities, more blue. There's going to be a lot of more mail-in voting. There's going to be a lot more changed laws that are going to make it absolutely impossible for another Republican to come in.
You know how a siphon works?
Nope.
You know how it works?
Where you suck on it and then it starts flowing.
Yeah. So basically, you can take a body of water at a higher altitude, a higher level, I can say altitude, and and then you run a tube from there and down. What happens is once the water reaches a certain threshold above, and then goes lower in the tube, it pulls down, creating vacuum force, which pulls up. The reason I bring that up is that we are on the cusp of that water in the siphon breaking the point by which the water will never stop flowing, and that is if the Democrats take control of everything. Like you said, a bunch of open immigration policies, right? Mm-hmm. Which will continually skew the country further and further to the left, unraveling it, and Republicans will only be able to argue in favor, but less in favor.
This is why
it's the event horizon.
This is why the Democrats love open immigration. One, it provides very cheap labor for the corporations that sometimes are compared to slave labor because you don't need to give anyone any benefits. You don't need to give anyone a living wage when they're illegal. And when they enter illegally, they, of course, usually predominantly vote blue. They vote Democrat. So
the Democrats offer them benefits.
Exactly.
And protection.
Exactly.
Or they just pay them under the table. I've seen that happen.
The Democrats will offer protection. So they'll say, like, we won't, in like sanctuary states like California, for instance. But then what happens is the corporations in California, there was this running scheme they did in southern states where they would put ads out in Mexican city, like small town Mexican newspapers saying, we will pay you $1,000 a month to work in this processing plant. The people would show up, and it's a very, very menial job. Like, just take it off the rack, put it in the machine does the work. Just at the end of the month, the company would call ICE. ICE would show up, arrest them all, send them back.
There's a lot of evil corporations taking advantage of illegal migrants, and no one really wants to talk about it because it goes against the agenda of we want more immigration. But when we look at the larger immigration policies of this country, they have extensively hurt so many people. I remember being in Tijuana during the border crisis when there was a rush on the border when they tried to run through the wall. And I remember being in this kind of occupied field of individuals that traveled from Nicaragua, from Honduras, from El Salvador.
Lied to.
People who were taken advantage of every way up. Every different country that they went into, there was a bunch of coyotes, there was a bunch of cartel members that took advantage of them in ways that I can't even describe here in the show because of, I'm not
YouTube will get
here.
mad.
Oh, exactly.
Man.
YouTube.
Yeah.
But talking to these individuals, seeing their hope and like, yes, I was promised a job, I was promised work, I was promised prosperity. And then let's be honest here, when a lot of them do come, they're exploited for the full benefit of the multinational corporations. And then these soulless, heartless individuals are keep promoting, come on in, come right in.
Low information.
Yes.
These are the Democrats. There's I have a family member who's just like a diehard, blind neoliberal. Doesn't know anything, doesn't read, but thinks he's super smart. And it's the perfect example of these kind of people who are like, we want to protect these poor immigrants. And it's like, you realize they're being exploited by massive multinational corporations who want cheap labor paid under the table with no benefits. And they're like, you're racist. And I'm like,
so hateful.
This is what they do. The Democrats will tell you that voter ID is racist. So Canada has voter ID, don't they?
I hope
That's a
so.
racist
Many countries usually do.
I have an ID.
That's typical.
Every other country on the planet is racist for forcing people to identify themselves.
There's a famous video, I think about 8 years ago.
Ami Horowitz?
Of going around a yuppie area in New York City.
No. He goes to Berkeley.
Okay, yes.
And he asks the young Berkeley college students if voter ID is racist. And they all say yes for a variety of reasons. And then he goes to Harlem and he asks black people if it's racist, and they're like, no, why? Yeah. And then my favorite bit from the bit is like the arguments. My favorite part of the bit, one of the arguments from the left was they don't know how to get to the DMV. And so he walks up to this black dude and he's like, excuse me, sir, do you know where the DMV is? And he goes, oh yeah, it's over on 25th Street. Like the guy was giving him directions. Of course he knows where the DMV. These people are so racist.
Yeah.
But the point is, when it comes to these policies that they're implementing, the Democrats don't actually, like the regular Democratic voters, don't look into what the policies do. It's just an emotional reaction of, we must protect these people. And then it's funny because I see all these arguments about pro-life versus pro-choice, and they accuse conservatives of not caring about babies after they're born. And I'm like, you clearly don't talk to any of these people because they run charities for these babies.
Right.
Like, they donate heavily to this. You don't care about what happens to the migrants after they get here, and they're being run through these major corporations that pay them pennies on the dollar illegally and don't give them benefits, and they don't have lawyers or access to fight back.
Yeah.
Now, I know there are nonprofits that help these individuals too, but many of these voters don't care or know about that.
California is the perfect example of this, because when you go to Skid Row and you see and you smell and you just are in this entire mess of so many homeless people, of so many downtrodden people that the government can't help. And then you see the latte drinking, flip-flop wearing yuppie saying, come on in, come, everything's going to be great, everything's going to be fun. And then you see the ramifications of that. There's not enough, let's be honest here. There's not enough resources. There are not enough things that could be done to help people, and a lot of them are left on their own. And when they're left alone, though, they're screwed and extorted and exploited by some of the worst elements of our society, and that needs to be called out, and that needs to be stopped.
Also, when you try and help someone that doesn't want to be helped, I don't know if you guys have ever done that, taking someone into your house, like a sibling or a friend
I'm
or
saying,
family.
if a country can't even take care of its own citizens, how are they going to take care of new citizens coming in?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
But how do you take care of someone that doesn't want to take care
That's
of themselves?
another important aspect that
Well,
you brought up there, because a lot of people don't want the help, and they have a mental health crisis that this country's dealing with. Sorry,
This
go
is
ahead.
something Jordan Peterson talks about. He says to be very careful about helping people who don't want to be helped, and even people who do want to be helped, because you never know if your help is actually going to be useful to them, or if you're just going to make it worse.
And it's such a drain to help someone. I don't know. I mean, that is a selfish way of being. We're all pretty selfish as
That's
animals.
hard.
We have to think of ourselves first. And it is exhausting
Well,
to help
sometimes
someone
you
else.
end up hurting someone more than actually
Yeah,
helping them,
exactly.
and that's another important aspect that you have to kind of consider. And the best thing you could do is, instead of giving someone fish, teach someone how to fish.
Yep.
And give them a fishing pole.
Yes, that too.
That's the way I put
Or
it.
teach them how to build fishing poles.
Because, well, then you got to give them the wood. You got to like
Teach them how to chop down trees.
You got to start from the beginning.
How deep does it go?
Here's how you take a rock, take some obsidian,
Yes.
smash it. Now you got
Yes.
something sharp.
Think for
now you can
yourself.
cut. So I always say, like, you can teach a man to fish, feed him for the rest of his life. But if they don't have a fishing pole, you can teach them how to
get 'em a bunch of good
fish with their
fishing
bare
poles.
hands, I guess.
All right, we're gonna use
so
lasers
That's what I
to
think
build
what's
fishing
missing.
poles.
Because the left says give them fish, the right says teach them to fish, and I say I think the right's got a better position on this one of teaching people how to fish. The left says it too. I don't want to be overly simplistic, but I think the appropriate response is like, here's a fishing pole, buddy. Here's how you use it. You're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Let's jump to the last segment before we go to super chats, because this is huge. Ian, you're correct, good sir.
I thought so.
Joe Rogan has removed 1.85 billion views from his YouTube
What?
channel.
Whoa.
So for those that are listening, Ian, he comes to me earlier and he says like, "Yo, all of Joe Rogan's videos are gone." And I said, "Surely you jest, good sir, Ian." Joe said that he's going to keep all of his episodes on his channel archived forever, and they're gone.
Most of them.
Most of them are
So
gone.
we looked into it, and there's, I don't know how many, 50 plus or some.
1.854 billion. So look, we have Social Blade right here. Check this out. On December 2nd, 1.877 billion views were subtracted from his channel, and then on December 3rd, 53 million. So just the day after he went exclusive to Spotify. The reason why this matters to a lot of people, and I'm not one for getting into like, I don't know, celebrity gossip or anything. This is a bit different, and I do know Joe personally. I haven't asked him about this, but Joe is one of the most important political figures, whether he wants to be or not. There's a reason why the left constantly wants to cancel him, why they demand Spotify censor him, and now to see that all of these episodes are gone and are exclusive to Spotify, so long as they still exist, I guess I'm happy. But remember, did Joe restore all the episodes that went missing?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
So here's the original story, right? Joe goes to Spotify, transfers over the podcasts, and then a bunch of episodes didn't transfer over, and people noticed that these episodes were very interestingly from certain people.
Alex Jones.
Gavin McInnes, I think, people like that.
Michaela
Peterson.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my understanding was that it was an error of some sort. But don't worry, every episode will be available forever on YouTube.
I see that.
That's not the case anymore. Check it out. I'll pull up the YouTube. When you go to his actual channel, so I've sorted by oldest. You can see the oldest. He's got these videos from back in the day, 7 years ago, but it's just I don't understand, why these specific videos. I guess these are all the biggest podcasts ever.
Yeah, like 4.4 million views and
more.
and higher.
Yeah, I mean, this is a shame. I mean, the conversations, the comments, the views, a lot of people utilize those, in their lives, and they were very important for so many people. And now to see them gone, it's a little disappointing, to be honest.
I guess
with you.
they're on Spotify. Is my guess. I wanted to point people to David Sinclair, Joe Rogan, the second one where Sinclair is like a life extension guy from Harvard. He's awesome, David Sinclair. So I did this show on Saturday with Seth from Venice Beach Dub Club. Shout out, Seth. And talked about David Sinclair, and then I went to Rogan's channel right after that, and that's when I found out it was gone.
Interesting.
I mean,
Well, there's a lot of people also saying that this is because Joe Rogan is allegedly having a hard time translating his YouTube audience into Spotify. There's a couple articles talking about that. There's
That could
one
explain
here
it.
by sportskita.com that says it's titled "Joe Rogan fans are refusing to follow him to Spotify, and it's bad." So they outline how a lot of people just aren't translating.
So
to that
actually,
platform.
I have a couple articles I've got from Dexerto.com. Joe Rogan fans outraged after podcast moves exclusively to Spotify. I thought that was kind of silly though, because we knew he was going to do it. But now I see exactly why people are probably really angry, getting all the episodes pulled from the biggest podcast in the world.
It was just an incredible trove of information. It's such
Maybe-
a sad loss. And I imagine he's just private. He's just probably private at all.
Maybe
Joe.
they're gone from his channel. The views have been removed, but that makes sense. If people, so check this out. We have this story from the New York Post. This is from Rav Aurora. Why the left is lashing out at Joe. I'm sorry, this is the wrong one. I need to go to the fans one. Right. Why the fans are upset. They say, as of December 2nd, full episodes of the podcast are exclusively available on Spotify, and highlight clips will appear on YouTube. In the comment section of the YouTube clip, fans release their frustration towards the exclusive move. It's been a hell of a ride, guys. See ya, one viewer said. One fan said bye to the podcast in their comment. This feels like a breakup, and I feel cheated for a richer guy by JRE. Another disappointed viewer revealed that while they tried listening to the show on Spotify, they couldn't handle the 10 straight minutes of ads. That's kind of silly, because if you've ever listened to the actual podcast on iTunes or whatever, he has ads running on it, so most people probably don't care. They go on to say that the move over to Spotify certainly brought about some dissatisfaction, but that's the interesting point. Maybe because, that's what you mentioned, right? Because he couldn't get enough people to translate over.
Yes.
He takes the videos off of YouTube. He wasn't going to do that originally, but maybe Spotify said, yo, we're not getting big viewership on Spotify.
Well, Spotify, again, invested a lot into Joe Rogan, and there was a lot of internal battles and fights that they had to clear up internally just to get this Joe Rogan train running. And
The employees kept revolting.
Yes, which was pretty ridiculous to think an individual has the power to control what you could listen to or not to listen to. It's so obnoxious. It's so egotistical. It's just utterly insane. But they started moving the podcast and making them exclusive on December 1st. So it's only been a few days since this has been happening. So,
But the other episodes were supposed to stay as an
Yes.
archive forever.
Yes, but I'm saying through this transition, there could be some kind of rearrangement saying we might not be getting the views we want. One of the videos on Spotify had 1.8 million views, which is actually not
You
bad.
can see the viewership?
This is what the Sportskita is reporting, that his latest video has 1.8 million views. So that's still pretty good.
Was that Moxie Marlin Spike?
Not sure.
I was
be
going to say
honest
that
with you.
old dude. No offense, dude.
Who?
But do you-
white-haired
to sign
older
up to
guy.
what's the process to sign up to Spotify? Do you need to pay for a membership? Do you need to
So I think for you might have to sign in for the Rogan podcast. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I know that it's free. It's free if you want to listen to it, but I'm not sure if you have to sign in to listen to it. I
And
think you
watch,
probably do.
to watch too. Is it
Yeah.
a and then
You can watch it as well,
No
yeah.
comments, right? People were like, "There's no comments on Spotify." Is
Yep.
that true?
Yeah, no comments.
Wow, that's a big change.
Right,
Well, we
and
have
that's
to
why
understand.
clearly YouTubers are upset.
Yeah, one of the reasons why so many people loved the Joe Rogan podcast was when it was live, people were able to talk to each other uncensored, and there was just a deluge of so many people talking all at once, and a lot of people got a lot of good information from the comment section.
I thought he disabled comments, didn't he?
He did, but his previous videos had the comments going through it, and then after the video was done, everyone was able to comment.
I'm
and
gonna
the top
be-
comment was voted up.
I'm gonna be completely honest with everybody. Everybody knows I know Joe. He's a cool dude. I talk to him fairly often. I think he got an amazing deal. I guess it was reported in the Wall Street Journal with like $100 million. No, like I can clearly understand why he took it. But I think, to be totally honest, one of the things that helped Joe remain on top as the biggest podcast in the world was that he was the first in. The saying is first in, best dressed. What happens is Joe works. His show is consistent. What is it? Monday through Thursday, new episode. Mm-hmm. Never misses a beat. He puts it up on iTunes when podcasts are first coming out. He was doing podcasts before podcasts were a thing. So when people are first getting introduced to podcasting, they open up their iPhone, they click the podcast button, and there's Joe Rogan, the first thing they see. Free advertising on the most prominent podcasting app. That's true for YouTube as well. Yeah. He's been on the platform for a really long time. The algorithm loves long form content and clips with high engagement. So YouTube's promoting him like crazy. Yeah. And he was getting algorithmic boosts.
And it was authentic. It wasn't poppy. It wasn't corporate. It wasn't Disney. It was him talking about gorilla DMT monkeys ripping each other to shreds, which is fascinating to listen to.
It's fun.
And then he did it. But one thing I have to give him props for is he did it in a way where he wasn't cocky about it. He wasn't elitist about it. It was him discovering information, learning, and taking you along the process as he was learning it. And that's what really drove a lot of people to listen, because they wanted to join that authentic, real, honest conversation that you can't get anywhere else, because most news guys are there with the suit and they have their little monotone voice.
Right. But listen. We what we do on this show is derivative of what Joe started doing 10 years ago. Yeah. And so I think about someone like Casey Neistat. You guys know Casey?
Yes. Yeah.
Vlogger. He was the first vlogger to actually make cinematic editing, in his vlogs. Before him, it was like a dude with a cell phone walking around talking about their day, and they were getting crazy viewership. Then Casey comes around and he's like, I'm going to put my camera down, turn it on, then leave the room and then walk back in to get this like edit. Play music, time lapses, and all of a sudden his channel skyrocketed to 10 million subs in a very short amount of time.
He made HBO documentaries before doing the vlog, right. So he was a professional. It was beautiful what he did.
But so here's what happens. At a certain point, everybody is making identical vlogs to him, and then it dilutes the market share. So like what I'm kind of getting at is, of course, Joe Rogan is completely unique, superstar, MMA comedian. He's a really funny guy. He's got his talent. But I think what was really keeping him in the top spot was the fact that he was given this prominent real estate by being first in, best dressed. I'm not saying that his show is going to fail by any means. I'm just saying a large portion of the viewership is due to algorithms. And I'll admit this for myself too, because I'm not trying to drag anybody else. I know for a fact the YouTube algorithm drives the majority of my content. The reason you are all probably listening to this right now is because it popped up on your front page when you went to youtube.com. You thought this is an interesting conversation about Joe Rogan. You clicked it. Many of you probably aren't even subscribed. You just happen to be passing by. A large portion of viewership are from non-subscribers, and it's because the algorithm chose to promote you.
Subscribe, by the way.
YouTube totally controls who sees your videos and who doesn't, and that main front screen on youtube.com determines everything. It used to be with the amount of views. So it used to be Loose Change came out, and that was the #1 viewed video. It was out, #1 platformed. Now it's all algorithms, deciding what's good for you. I was going to ask you. What do you think is the best first and best dressed now? Do you have an example?
There is no first in.
Okay.
Unless we do like first in is like when this first started, when podcasting became a thing, Joe was already there and he had a show that was really interesting.
Is there anyone that is doing any content right now that you could say is similar?
We're well past that point of getting the initial boost.
Yeah.
So now it's just we're all at a party. If someone wants to jump up and down and scream and get attention, they can.
There was like
but I want to tell people hard numbers. Take a look at the view count on this video. Okay, for those that are watching live, you're going to see, I think we've got around 46,000 or so people. I think when all is said and done, this episode's going to have around 200 or like 300, maybe 400,000 viewers. It depends,
3 to 6.
Viewership, yeah. Sometimes they're bigger, but when they're like just run of the like our average episodes, we'll probably hit around 400,000. You want to know how much they get on all podcast platforms combined? 35,000.
Yeah.
And guess what? One of the top global podcasts. We are ranked, I think, top 230 biggest podcasts in the world.
And we get
in this show.
1,000% more views on YouTube.
Well, 10 times.
1,000%.
Right. You're right. On my show, on the Tim Pool Daily Show, I get between the 3 videos, maybe like 2 or 3 million views a day or more. Actually, yeah, it's way more than that. I was getting around, I've kind of lowered the amount of content I was doing, but I was getting about, 4 to 5 million views on my YouTube content every day. The podcast ranked at its peak, number 34 iTunes top charts in the world, 70,000.
Wow.
That's how dramatically different the numbers are compared to YouTube. So
there's no
I bring that
comparison.
up because I think by taking these videos off YouTube and by leaving YouTube, and I mean this with the utmost respect for, Joey's a friend, I think he's going to lose a ton of influence. But I'm not entirely convinced it's something he cares about, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he cashed out. Kudos, good job. He's starting his own comedy club. I think he wants to do.
He's doing
gonna
exactly what he wants to do
He's
without
renegotiating the network of comedy and tech. I mean, it's
Listen.
so awesome.
Guaranteed income, no banning.
And
Yep.
so Spotify's up. Spotify, he's the biggest, number one on Spotify, and his clips are still on YouTube on the JRE channel. So he's still putting clips
Yes.
with links to his Spotify content, and the clips are still getting hundreds of thousands, if not
Yep.
millions of views. So maybe he's just diversifying his
It's
holdings.
true, but the big issue, I guess, is, at the end of the day, Joe's got to do what's good for Joe. He's just a guy. He's doing his thing, and you can't expect anything from him. There's a lot of people who they looked up to him as an important figure in the culture because Joe wouldn't just go along blindly with, he doesn't just go along blindly with this, with what's going on in left or right or whatever. He's just like a regular guy who will challenge things that they don't seem to make sense, and he'll call out people on his own show for it, as much as the left tries to argue he doesn't. Losing him in the most prominent positions of the culture war scares a lot of people, and I'm sure the left is clapping and cheering the whole time, and they're trying to use that change to get him banned off Spotify too.
Yeah, we have to understand here there was a lot of establishment pressure, a lot of pressure from the mainstream media, a lot of pressure from what people would consider the ruling class to get him canceled, to get him kicked off of YouTube. So this could be another reason why he moved over to Spotify, where, as you said,
Definitely.
he can't be censored. And I think that's something important to really consider here.
They were also going after
Nearly-
his friends on his show.
Oh, of course.
It's crazy.
Nearly 2 billion views removed from his channel. I wonder if all of those have translated over to Spotify. I got to be honest though. I don't get nearly any views on Spotify or downloads for the podcast. It's negligible. I don't even bother with it. There's nothing I can do. I mean, look, if you're listening right now, hop over to Spotify, give us a good review. On iTunes, we continually are going up in the rankings. People are subscribing, people are following, people are leaving, good reviews and good comments. And I can see, like, a month ago, this show wasn't even in the top charts. And now it's officially cracked. It's the iTunes top 250 is their official breakdown for the top podcasts. And now we're doing it. Spotify, nothing.
Is there a link
Nothing.
to Spotify on the YouTube video?
No.
That'll probably
Well, at
kick
the
the
end of
numbers
some
in higher.
videos, he's saying, go check out our full episodes on Spotify. So that does happen. To me, this is kind of very similar to a move we see done by Howard Stern when he
Right.
moved over from regular radio, facing pressure from the FTC and all the other government agencies, and he just moved over to.
Yeah, but he's gone.
Yeah.
What's
That's
his relevance is.
I know it's like the value of money and the value of personal relevance to society, and this is the great lesson of our time. And Joe's in the middle of it, so I'm going to be happy to hear his look on it in the future, looking back.
He's got no obligation to anybody but himself.
That's true.
So if he says he's going to take a good deal, and then look, I know a lot of people are angry because he is a powerful everyman who, when he has conversations about social justice warriors and authoritarianism, he's far from conservative, but he's like, that's BS. I'm not going to play that game. He talks about fun, interesting things. To have him move away to an exclusive platform is it's devastating for the culture war. It's a huge win for the leftists, no doubt.
I want to see Howard Stern and Rogan do something now.
I don't know. I doubt Howard Stern could.
Big Daddy Stern.
Got his contract.
Oh.
Yeah, but he also became
Kind of establishment.
he total established.
Howard, can he not say anything on his show?
He denied ever saying racial slurs on this one segment, and then they played it for him, and he was like, "I'm so sorry, I did that." No joke. Howard
Boo.
Stern apologizing
Sad.
for being a shock jock.
So if someone offered you $100 million, would you jump?
You have an obligation to, I guess. I got to be real though. I probably wouldn't. I probably would not.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, but what am I gonna do with it?
I don't know.
That's
Start your own network?
that's what I'm saying. What
That's
are you
the question. If you have something to do with it, then I can see going for it.
Create a beanie school where you teach other beanie wearers to be truth speakers.
Listen.
Start their own YouTube channels.
Right now, we're talking about getting a 100-acre farm in central West Virginia, middle of nowhere, hours from anything, And like the agents are like, you really don't want to be here. There's nothing. And it's like, oh
Good.
yeah, that's
good.
exactly
Perfect.
what we want. We're gonna build our own space app. You know how much 100 acres can cost if you go to like Montana or something? It's like nothing. Couple $100 a month on a mortgage, and you can have 100, 200 acres of just big open empty land. So if you want to do something, you could really just do it. It's not the most difficult thing. I mean, obviously, if you're younger, it's a lot harder. You got to save up money. Clearly, that's, when I was younger, I worked fast food. I worked, crummy jobs and just saved everything I could.
The main important thing that people need to realize is one of the most important things you could do is enjoy yourself. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're working towards, if you're enjoying yourself, keep on doing it. So I think that's essentially what I think is going down to Rogan's decision. He likes doing them. He likes doing the podcasts. There's a lot less pressure on him for it to be taken down, and he's going to continue his own way. And as you said, he has no obligation to any of us.
Yeah.
And that's an important realization that a lot of people need to make. Stop looking up to idols or other individuals. Don't put any man above yourself. You yourself have to look up to yourself internally and always build yourself up as much as you can.
I will say this though, trying to be respectful, because again, I know Joe, I'm not trying to drag him or anything, but when you tell everybody, don't worry, the episodes are going to be archived forever. They'll always exist. You can watch them whenever you want on YouTube. And then you take them all off.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, yo, that's kind of
I never heard him say that. He did say that specifically?
I thought that's what the deal
was
was.
my understanding.
I was always so
Yeah.
vague. I didn't know.
kinda
Plus,
weird.
he was like beholden to ad revenue before, and now he's not. Now he got
Exactly.
paid ahead of time, so he
Right.
can just kind of
So you
roll.
guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but going to something like Spotify, like Joe did, seems kind of to me like a soft retirement. It really seems like a semi-retirement. He's kind of done. He just wants to chill. He doesn't want to have to worry about YouTube and all this
Could
crazy
be,
stuff.
but at the same time, he did want to host a Joe Biden versus a Donald
true.
Trump presidential
That would've
debate.
sounded like a lot
so
of
if
fun.
you're hosting a huge
Yeah, well, hold
presidential
on,
debate,
hold on.
you're not riding off into the sunset.
How much?
You're
how
putting
much
yourself
of
in the
that?
spotlight.
Old.
How much of that was him just like in the moment?
Being
No, I mean, you saw it in his eyes. He was excited. He wanted
That
it. He was
would've
like, I
been
want
fun.
Donald Trump here, Joe Biden here, and Alex Jones talking about DMT in the corner. I want it right now. And America would have loved that, and we deserved that.
I-
That
maybe
would've been- yeah.
maybe Spotify will take over iTunes because of Joe. That's the bet, right?
But they also don't have a good record when it comes to upholding people's free
Spotify is
speech.
still Google.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
they
It's
are.
Alphabet.
Well,
Oh, it
yes.
is.
And
is, yeah.
and they have a bad record of censoring speech.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, of
Why?
course.
Yeah.
That's another aspect that we have to understand here as
It
well.
might just
on
be-
top of everything.
Look, man, eventually you're not a 19-year-old hungry kid anymore who's trying to take over the world. You're in your 50s, you got a family, and you're like, how long am I going to be leading the charge on this one? And
Yeah, I heard him make a comment that like telling his family, "Yo, guys, it's time to party. We got the payout. Let's roll." Like just
but here, let's
have some fun.
have that serious question. What do you do with $100 million?
I have no idea. Because
what-
you
You
are
can't spend
you
it fast
do?
enough.
No,
You can't.
no.
Can't.
You just put it in. You give it to wealth management, and then just becomes infinite money
so
for you in the long
boring.
run. You've broken through this barrier where once I think John McCain was asked this in 2008 or whatever, 2007. How much money do you need to be truly wealthy? He said $7 million. And then there was this guffaw from the media, like, oh, $7 million. If I was a millionaire, no. What he was saying was, at that time, with $7 million, you put it in a wealth management, account, or like you get a wealth manager. You're rich forever. You never have to work
dude,
again.
if you could,
Yeah, you're like a Wall Street banker just creating money out of thin air
Yeah.
with all their derivatives
no,
and all
but
the other
come on,
complicated language
what
they
do you-
make
what do
for
you-
literally monopoly money.
what
Sorry, go ahead.
do you do with the money?
probably
Yeah.
What do you
buy
do?
a
No, no.
bunch of lasers and start launching satellites.
Dude,
Genetic
lasers don't cost
splicing
that
super
much.
soldier
start building
security guards.
Start
Yes.
building.
Now that's expensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
we can invest in like
Lasers
lunar.
aren't that expensive.
We can invest in lunar
Space
space
travel.
elevators and like
No, that's way
inner
more
orbital.
expensive.
Elon Musk
But we can
took his
invest in
winnings
it.
from Facebook and PayPal and literally started a space program, and he's trying to go
That's
to
cool.
Mars. So
That's-
And a lot less than 100 million, I think, at the time. I don't know, but he put his net worth on the line basically.
Is Joe Rogan going to create a space program?
That'd be cool.
I think he's
Send a
into it.
chimp into space?
Chimp research.
call the
No, he's
satellite
doing a
down
comedy thing. He's doing a
DMT.
comedy thing.
In space.
Comedy and
Literally
Perfect,
beaming
yeah.
people into space.
Dude,
I mean, it's a
calling
lot
the
funnier when
satellite.
there's no
It's
gravity.
like $20,000 to do a space tourism. You got $100 million. You got a lot of space tourism you can do.
and now we've got re-entry rockets we can utilize.
People going outer space for a zero-G comedy show,
That'd be awesome.
just like grazing for like 20 minutes and
I wonder what
zero-G.
laughing
What would you
feels
do
like
if you
in
had
space.
$100 million? What would you do?
First thing I would do is invest about 20 million of it into cryptocurrency.
Okay.
The second thing I would do is start researching satellites and start launching satellites with like ionic thrusters and propellers to get them up out of orbit, and then start making. Well, Elon's already doing global internet.
Yeah.
So I'd like to enhance the global internet
Starlink.
program
I
and
would-
start putting water wells around the world,
I would do
solar powered water
I would do a
condensation.
free speech internet, just all out, just like it was before. That's my thing. Sorry, I cut you off.
That's
Well,
cool idea.
we could do that with the
But you don't need $100 million to do that.
You do now with the infrastructure that Google has.
Yeah, they
through
could
all
seize your
the-
domain.
through all the government. Yeah, but that's why you have $100 million to make sure you create a system outside of that system where it's not. The internet used to be such a wild, incredible, awesome place where when you clicked on something, you didn't know what you're going to get, but it was going to rattle your brain. It was going to make you think. It
Bro.
was going to inspire you. Now it's just the same squeegee
Shopping
clean,
mall.
complaining,
Yeah.
moaning, and whining
MSNBC.
by boomers and by I don't want to mention someone specifically. I was going to do that, but there's so much trash out there when it comes to just selling you products and just the same squeegee clean, same YouTube video that you just keep seeing repeated over and over again. There needs to be a day where there isn't anything curated and controlled and regulated, where it's wild and it's free and it's real. And if I had $100 million, I would literally spend it
I'll
right
tell you
now
guys-
on creating that.
I'll tell you guys a secret. The secret is money can make you happy up to a certain point. Like you don't have to worry about starving to death, or you're not anxious and sitting there shaking because you're going to get evicted. But for the most part, what truly makes you happy is purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose can come from friends, from family, and from a mission. But $100 million is not purpose.
Exactly.
If someone just gave you $100 million, you probably would not be happy. And people don't realize this.
Yes.
You get to the, like, and I don't look, I am not some, far right, or far left. I understand that there are people who can't pay their bills and are desperate and scared and struggling. Money can make them reach a certain threshold of contentment. But I have a friend who became multimillionaire when he was 16 years old by writing a computer code that just ended up generating a bunch of money, built a company, made millions of dollars. And then when he was like 19, had an existential crisis because there was nowhere left for him to go. He was already at the top of his field. Everybody knew who he was. There was nothing that he could do. Like he was doing what he wanted to do. Everybody knew who he was. He had all this money. And he ended up talking to a bunch of other rich people who said that once they get to that point where they have so much money, everything just kind of stops. You have an existential crisis because you've done it. What's left?
Yes. There's actually a phenomenon with a lot of people who win the lottery that literally lose all of their money within a few years. So
Yeah.
that keeps happening again
Right.
and again. And a lot of them report not being happier because of that money,
So they keep
but
spending
only
it.
having more problems. And a lot of people think that they could fill in this psychological empty void that has been put into us by the controllers, as I would metaphorically say. They think just by the culture of consumerism, by doing what you're told, by spending money on where the cool kids spend them, everything's going to be different. It's not. People need
Never.
to wake up from that reality, stop buying into this consumerism of Nike slave-made Chinese factory-produced sneakers that
Build-
supports people like LeBron James
build a
that will
house.
lecture you about Black Lives Matter. Meanwhile, when actual human rights are being violated by his company and the hundreds of millions of dollars that he's receiving, he's not going to say jack or iota about that actual issue that does enslave and hurt people to an effect that we can't even imagine.
I'm reminded of that scene from Fight Club where they're in the car and the two guys are in the back. And then he takes his hands off the wheels and he's like, if you were to die, what's one thing you would have regret not having done? And one guy's like, paint a portrait or paint a self-portrait. And the guy's like, build a house. You got to think about that stuff.
Mine is
What do you want to do?
build a rail cannon that we can use to launch satellites. Like it's underground about 100 yards and then it curves and then goes up. And then so you just
Now, if you remember,
rail
launch
cannon?
these lightweight satellites.
we had these same conversations before Disney and before Vice. I was
Yep.
like, don't do it, man. Don't go for the man. Don't go to. But your strategy, where you are right now, is something commendable.
Yeah, you were
And-
wrong. You were wrong.
No, I
You
was
were
right.
wrong.
And you even told me, there's a video where we talked. You were like, yeah, man, you're all right. You were telling me not to be with the corporations
No, you
because
were
they were
right.
going
You
to
were right.
control me and they were going to stifle me. And I think you could have even been bigger and
You're right.
stronger
Yep.
if you weren't
You're correct.
with Vice, if you weren't with Disney, which I've been telling you, don't do it. Don't go with them. Be independent. Be free. And then as soon as you came out of that corporate hellhole, you blossomed. And you're here today as one of the top political YouTubers, and you have to give props to that. But at the same time, they did stifle you, and I told
Well,
you
hold
so.
on. When I was first starting YouTube, I was making like $5 a week.
Yeah.
And it was impossible.
I was making $0 for a
when
while too.
When I started at Vice, I had to ask them to front me the first paycheck because I had no money left. And so I was like, that's it. I can't it was money was going down for a while. Covering protests around the country, people would donate, and that was a slow upward trajectory. But once protests started spacing out and slowing down, my costs were more than the opportunities to actually cover news and generate some kind of revenue.
Trust me, I was there. I was sleeping on couches. I knew,
Right.
Many times in circumstances that I'm not going to have any money in the bank.
So I took a job,
and
I saved all the money from it. And then once I finally left, when I left Disney, I went to these other companies. I'm not going to name them, but you can probably guess a lot of what they were. Went to all these different companies, and then I was like, I got money in the bank now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do whatever I want. Yeah. I was able to fly to Sweden. I was able to fly to Europe and travel around because I didn't have to worry about that anymore. It was me working these jobs allowed me to have the investment to start my own companies.
My approach was a little different, but each his own. We're here today, and we still have a voice.
You went like
goodness.
full independent.
Full.
What was your history like from the beginning? Like when you were 16?
I mean, I was working full time, going to school full time, and
with Alex Jones,
still doing activism. And then Alex Jones saw some of the videos I did, and There's
took Luke under his wing.
So you
I don't know if
big wings.
I don't. That's debatable. There is a contested history. We're not on good terms now, and it's fine. I don't hold any grudges or anything personal, but we definitely went our separate ways because we have a different way of doing things, and whatever. Things happen. But
you ever see GoldenEye?
Yeah.
At the end. So basically what happened was they were actually at the satellite and Luke was hanging by one hand and then he looked up at Alex and then Alex had his foot on his hand and Luke goes, "For 9/11 truth, Alex?" And Alex goes, "No, for me." And then kicks him off and Luke's and falls down and dies.
There was a big fight and it was very entertaining and wow. I'm not going to share too much personal details. I don't hold any grudges. I concentrate on my mission, and my mission is to do as much research, as much homework as I can, find out anything I can that's useful to people, and to share it with them. That's my main goal. That's my main mission. That's what I set my life's purpose to be, and that's what I focus on, not e-drama and all this other stuff that's outside of the focus.
Wait. Well, just two quick things. One, I kind of want to watch GoldenEye, but the other thing is,
I love that movie.
We got to do super chats.
Did you
Wait, can we play
change?
the video of the woman shooting the intruder?
We're 15 minutes.
The answer is yes. And the answer is we're 15 minutes past. And I
We
also
gotta
have
do
a
Super
question.
Chats.
What documentary did you do? Didn't you do a really popular one in the past?
Well, there was the Loose Change Kids, and I helped them with that, and there was some of my video footage in there, and I was with them from the very beginning.
Loose Change.
Yes.
That was like groundbreaking.
All right, super chats.
Ooh.
If you haven't already, get your super chats in. We'll read as many as I can. Obviously, I can't read everybody's, but also smash the like button.
Really?
And just comment, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. Brian Shink says, "Hey Tim, love the show. Do I have your blessing to perform your song Will of the People for my audition for The Voice on Friday?"
Ooh.
It's an amazing song. Of course you do, absolutely. However, I'm pretty sure that preliminary auditions, they make you sing the song they want you to sing. So I knew people who have auditioned for American Idol, and they actually initially give you a song, and it's a generic like pop song, and they tell you to sing it. And then they choose you based on whether or not you're entertaining on TV. That's about it.
So stay loose when you go in there, but prep
Yeah.
Will of the People.
Kale Yamamoto says, "I can tell Alex Jones is really starting to rub off on Tim lately." Alex didn't talk to me about aliens at all. We talked about
No, we used to
DMT.
talk about this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't really talk about aliens.
Yeah.
Mike C says, "If you've seen Rick and Morty, you know what the deal is with the Galactic Federation."
I love that show.
Oh, okay. So someone actually mentioned early on about Joe Rogan. Michael Anthony Lewis says, "Joe Rogan very recently said only 100 episodes will remain on YouTube when he recently appeared on the Alex Jones podcast."
Oh, I didn't realize he went on Alex Jones.
Oh, interesting. So we'll have to make sure that in any clip we'll put that in the notes. All right, let's see. Jacob says, "Please tell me that you're going to talk about the woman who was arrested for admitting on Facebook and Instagram that she and her daughter worked at a vote counting center in Georgia and committed fraud." I'm not, she was arrested for that?
I haven't
Wow.
seen that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you want to
I'm
Google
gonna
it?
research
Look it
that.
up. A woman and her daughter in Georgia admitted on Facebook. Dylan Keller says, "I don't care if aliens are hiding technology from us. We are humans. We'll discover it eventually. If they don't want to talk to us, it's their loss. We'll make our own galactic federation with blackjack and hookers." That's right. On the moon with Bender.
Do you think that if we were all tripping, that we'd have quicker access to aliens?
If we were tripping?
Like if we took
No.
psychedelic drugs?
No.
That's inside your
I think psychedelic drugs can be beneficial based on the research, honestly, in like small doses in specific circumstances. But if people were always tripping, they'd never get anything done.
Maybe if we all tripped at once. I don't like the word tripping because
No.
that implies you're falling over on
But
yourself.
I did read a study about a bunch of scientists who all microdosed LSD and then like ended up accomplishing a bunch of like goals of theirs or something.
And also, like, group meditation is pretty powerful.
There are some scientific studies that do talk about dosing and having a lot of breakthroughs. So that's something to think about.
The smartest idiot says, as a fellow human flesh ape, I welcome our future Florbo overlords.
Yes.
Oh, he's a
excuse
step
me.
ahead.
Eggman Xavier says, can someone tell me what the heck is going on? Just at the egg. I don't know what that is. Someone has a very spicy comment. I can't read it, but I just will mention there's a spicy comment. It's about a guy whose name is Jeffrey.
Oh.
Ashley says, hi, gang. Alien confirmation. Sounds like a misdirection to change the confirmation.
Conversation.
Conversation, yeah. Honestly, that's a good point. We got all this voter fraud stuff going on. All of a sudden, this guy's like, oh, aliens.
I'll tell you, I have more fun tonight than
Yeah.
Yup.
It is more
voter-
fun,
Yup.
but that's the appeal.
combobulation.
And then we had those stupid monoliths popping up everywhere.
Yeah, what the
And
heck?
everyone's like, don't look at the election. Look at the shiny
Did
object.
you see the meme of the guy with the monolith in his toilet?
Yeah,
was
that was
funny.
funny.
Literally a shiny object. Come on, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, guys.
Omega Hunter says, Tim, earlier this year, you were talking about how the insanity level was increasing for 2020, and you mentioned one of the next steps, seemingly in jest, would be aliens. So let me ask you, did you get this info from a terrestrial source? It was a meme. There's a meme.
Yeah, it's been going around
you
for a
posted
while.
it? Where it's like a calendar like of all the months?
Yeah.
Like what's going
Yeah.
Oh, Babylon B had one.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like aliens come in June, and then, but never happened,
Months off.
Yeah. The Civic Nationalist says, Tim, divine right was an excuse by kings because their ancestors were the strongest. League of Nations was 1919 after World War I. Thank you for the correction. And burn the heretic, kill the mutant, purge the unclean. So League of Nations was after World War I, but that was like a general idea, like we don't want World War or something like that.
Right.
I believe that was correct.
And then there was a world war.
Yes.
Yes, there were.
Yes.
Because of the League of Nations.
So here we go. Super 503 Dank says, so Tim, what you're saying is the aliens are behind intersectionality. That way we are all featureless, genderless, ready for the Galactic Federation. Yes,
Could
with
be.
shaven heads wearing gray jumpsuits with no pockets.
That's right.
That's exactly what it's going to be like.
And big heads.
Yes. Doobie McNasty says, would it be crazy if humans came together for world peace just so that we could meet the aliens? I mean, that'd be cool, I guess.
That's an idea.
I'm into it.
I think it's worth considering.
That'd be awesome.
Neon Light says, shout out to Charles the Stink Bug. Loved his commentary on his evolutionary adaptation.
Yes. Charles is
Could
a
you?
star.
I wonder if you couldn't hear anything from him.
I don't think so.
Charles, is that his name?
That's his name.
Morgan Hengel says, I would love to have a conversation with an alien. I feel that our perspective on common issues will be vastly different due to technological and cultural differences. I mean, also environmental and evolutionary.
Yeah.
What if they don't eat matter the way we do? What if they're like plants? What if they have to spend a month just sitting still absorbing solar radiation to move around for one day?
What would you ask an alien if you only had like 10 seconds?
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a
Oh
woodchuck
my
could chuck
gosh.
wood?
Of course he would.
Good question.
He could tell you.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck? How many lows would Rob Lowe rob? Damn, I messed
no.
up. How many lows could Rob Lowe rob if Rob Lowe... I can't do it.
Could Rob
You
Rob?
How many lows could Rob Lowe rob if Rob Lowe could rob lows?
There we go.
That's my favorite tongue twister.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not even going to get into
That's a
that.
good one. At
Rob
least
Lowe,
one,
Rob
man.
Lowe's. I'd ask what's the meaning of life?
Oh,
42.
it's a lot of questions.
I don't think there was an actual question. 42
Yeah, that was
isn't
the
answer.
problem.
Yeah.
There was no question.
What's the ultimate
formatted.
the question? Answer to the ultimate question? Like we don't know what the question is.
Sometimes when I ask cats questions, they get confused. Like questions is kind of a
bet.
human
Yeah.
thing. I wonder if other animals don't think in terms of that.
Probably not.
There's just
Ian.
They don't need
facts.
to.
There's just
Filthy Jim has a question.
okay.
He says, "What's your thoughts on the mud flood and Tartaria?"
We talk a lot about that actually here in this house,
We
and
do,
it
yes.
seems like throughout history, the victor has written history and covered up the past, and that has also happened with mud floods. Like Atlantis seems to have been covered by mud. So I think a lot of ancient technology has been lost to mud, and
For
then
sure.
and then the people don't want to.
So for those that aren't familiar with this conspiracy theory, it's that there was a great planetary civilization, right? And
Atlantis, at least, yeah.
and then
Oh, Tartary, the Tartars, yeah.
and
the
it got
Tartars.
wiped out in a mud flood, a giant flood, and the mud buried a bunch of buildings. And then there was a war over the ancient technology, and the victors changed history so that we didn't realize we're actually discovering the remnants of an ancient civilization.
The Tartars came from the Barbars, which means foreigner. Barbarian meant
Bar- bar-
foreigner. And so
yeah.
these Tartars were like, theoretically slaughtered by like the Asians and Russians, and then we're told to forget about this ancient Euro-Asian gigantic, civilization of Tartaria.
Darius Harvey says Metal Gear Solid. Perfect soldier, big boss, is unable to have children. A shadow government wants an heir, so they clone him. 3 sons are born. The answer to not tainting the gene pool, make all 3 infertile. Super soldiers are also infertile. Well, there you go. Yeah. The Chinese super soldiers, they could specifically...
I think they're going to be reproducing a lot, especially with the shortage of...
It's going to be like Fallout, the super mutants, where they're like gigantic, genderless monsters.
Probably.
There you go.
It is trendy now.
Cordy on Ice says, Sargon's episodes with Joe Rogan aren't on Spotify or YouTube.
Wow.
There it is.
Damn.
Carl Benjamin has been axed from the Joe Rogan show.
Carl.
That's it.
Doesn't
It's
exist
over.
anymore.
No.
See, there you go.
Bad, yeah.
That's kind of messed up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it exists somewhere, though. Someone downloaded it somewhere.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
BitChute, isn't that where they get?
I mean,
Library.
somebody had to have archived this. I think when people saw that Joe's episodes weren't porting over, some of them, everyone immediately went and archived every episode.
Yeah.
But there you go, right there. He's been unpersoned.
Wow.
That's crazy. Tom DiMartino says, Tim, I think Joe's videos are probably unlisted now and not deleted. My theory is that the entire Spotify play is a YouTube flex, and the entire podcast will be back to YouTube eventually. I don't think so.
I actually had that thought
I
that
don't.
once his contract with Spotify runs out, he'll make everything public again
Maybe.
on YouTube.
I wonder. I mean, listen, Joe can't do the show forever. Is Joe going to be like a 70-year-old man being like,
Yes.
you guys ever tried to?
He's going to be young. He's going to be one of those 90-year-old, 50-year-olds.
Yeah, he really is. I can see it.
He's younger than he was 2 years ago.
I know, right? It's crazy. He's going
He
backwards.
supplements a lot.
Jamie, what? Pull that up.
And
What?
man.
Old Jamie.
Old Jamie and old Joe. A.G. Birch says JRE is popular because he respects cats. That may be where your crowd comes from too, Tim. That's right. But Luke doesn't.
I do not.
He doesn't.
Can't.
He's
It's
mean.
okay.
There's a lot of toxoplasmy everywhere, and there needs to be a war.
Toxoplasmosis.
Yes.
It's in me.
Potato. There needs to be...
Dustin Rourke says, Ian, check out Walter Veith on Secret Societies. He shows you with evidence all roads lead to Rome with the Fed. Tim, realize that Klaus Schwab already said the 4th Industrial Revolution is humans changing.
Dude, this guy sounds legit.
Yep, and the World Economic Forum talked about implants and using biotech technology as in order to help advance human civilization. So
Get your Neuralink.
Yeah, well, Elon Musk is literally working on
Come
a microchip
on.
that you put inside of your brain.
Don't you want to be able to plug into the Matrix and learn
No.
Kung Fu in
I
5
do.
seconds?
I am okay.
Oh,
Nope.
I am so ready.
Never.
Learn
Okay,
Kung Fu?
I don't want to wire myself.
would you
but
rather
I
be
wanna
given unlimited money, or
experience.
would you rather work towards having the money that you earned and worked hard for yourself?
That's a tough question.
Exactly. Would you rather get a fish, or would you have a fishing pole?
Well,
if you had a choice, if you had a choice to work for everything in your life,
Let me
or-
answer.
Go ahead.
I'm saying it's a tough question because I'm not thinking about being given money. I wouldn't want to be given a ton of money because money doesn't get you what you want. But in terms of being able to instantly know Kung Fu versus having to train for years to be good at Kung Fu, I kind of want to just be good at Kung Fu.
But what would
I
make
mean?
you happier? What would make you more satisfied?
If right now they were like, press enter and you'll be a Kung Fu master, I would be stoked on that.
yeah,
be
but
like,
then it gets
yeah.
old, and it's like.
But no,
whatever.
it wouldn't get old because I wouldn't be doing Kung Fu every day. I would be going about my normal business that I want to go about, but just knowing Kung Fu.
But if you had to work hard for it every single day, you would
No, you're wrong.
appreciate it.
I
that
think
much
some
more.
people. I
Your
would
social-
want.
such-
what
socialist
you're
argument.
what you're misunderstanding is that I am currently not doing Kung Fu because I don't care that much. If I was given the ability to just learn Kung Fu instantly, the Matrix style, and it was passive, I'd totally do it. I'd be stoked on
Yeah,
it.
but then you would take that to every element of your life, and then you would be spoiled.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, you would. I think you would.
Some people.
You
would.
wouldn't respect any. You wouldn't need. You
That's
wouldn't
not
give a damn
true.
about anything. It's like having the cheat codes. You had a video game that's hard. When it's hard, it's actually really fun to play. When you have all the cheat codes, it's
But what
not
if the
that
cheat
fun.
code makes it so
It's,
you
it's
can,
fun for
what
like
if
a
what if the
day.
cheat code is that you can change the color of your shoes? You're going to be like, well, now I'm playing the game, but the game's the same.
Well,
but
that's
I got
not
different
it.
color
But
shoes.
if you have a cheat code to do anything, right?
But I'm
We're not talking about one
about-
specific
I'm
thing.
not saying
I'm
that.
talking about everything.
I'm saying that if right now, in the context of my life, Kung Fu would not help me complain on the internet, I would totally be down to just instantly learn Kung Fu.
What
What do you do?
Who would
like-
you use against?
I
Who
wouldn't.
would
I
you-
just run around doing front flips and stuff. That's not really Kung Fu, you know what I mean?
You know, I spent the first 40 years of my life in hard
Parkour, I
mode,
guess.
working hard, and I know so many geniuses that I want to fly out here to build the laser that I need unlimited money. So I would take the unlimited money cheat.
Will there be sharks with lasers on top of them?
I'm into it.
Okay.
All right, we got a really good point here from Clef the Misfit. He says, unexpected election outcome. Trump wins his lawsuits, which drives Democrat rage turnout in Georgia, winning them the Senate seats. Dems then impeach and remove Trump and Pence. Pelosi becomes president. It's actually a really good point.
Could be.
If Trump does win this fight, that means the Democrats are definitely going to win in Georgia, and they will impeach and remove Trump. Oh, no. I'm sorry. That can't work. Sorry.
Wait.
That's not possible.
Yeah.
But Pelosi is the president we need.
No. Stop. This is wrong. Sorry, Clef. You're completely incorrect. The Democrats can only tie the Senate right now. If Trump wins his lawsuits, tiebreaker goes to Trump. And if they tried to impeach Trump, then Pence would break the tie defending Pence and Trump.
Okay.
So that can't happen.
Okay. Thank goodness.
Yeah. All right, let's see. We got a bunch of new super chats. Andrew Mike says, hello all. I think the GOP will win in Georgia. Democrats are low information. It will be hard to get them to come out again. Trump not on the ballot will hurt Dem turnout. That's a good point. Harder to cheat this time. Thoughts? Thanks for all your hard work. I actually said without Trump on the ballot, Democrats would win. Actually, it might be the other way around.
Yeah.
Without Trump on the ballot, they're going to be like, I don't care.
If you were hate
Yeah, it's the Republicans freaking out right now. You know,
The hate vote was strong.
Yeah. Megan Stewart says Joe Biden did not campaign, but he did pay Ariana Grande and a bunch of other influencers to campaign to their audiences to vote for him. It's a good point.
Yeah.
But I think I listen. Okay, Joe Biden is the greatest president of this
Well,
or any generation.
that's unsaid. You don't
Wasn't
even need
Cardi
to-
B also endorsing
No,
him?
Bernie.
No. And then she did an
She did
interview
endorse
with,
him,
with
yeah.
But I just want you to
with
think about
Biden.
this. Joe Biden didn't campaign. He didn't hold big rallies. He simply appeared. You know. I know what won. I know what did it.
What was it?
His beautiful eyes.
Cardi B?
Shrunanana Shabbat pressure.
Oh, snap.
That was the activation word for all of those who have been programmed by the TVs.
Oh, the lizard
See,
brain.
Right. So for the past 4 years, the TV has been subliminally saying, when you hear the code word, you will vote for Joe Biden. Truanana Shabbat pressure. Truanana Shabbat pressure. And then finally one day, everyone's sitting there, and then Joe Biden goes, Truanana Shabbat pressure. And then like some dude's like hanging out with his girlfriend. He's like, listen, honey, I'm telling you that I'm gonna go vote for Joe Biden. And then she goes, yes, I
And
too
we
will
do
vote
need
for Joe Biden.
true international cooperation under pressure.
Yeah.
True international
Yeah, that's
cooperation
fair.
under pressure. True international. Zachary Cuny says, Tim, Ian was right about using viruses to insert genes into cells. Yes,
I learned that from Andreas, actually.
I know that's true. I'm saying they don't use coronaviruses to do it.
Well, that we know of.
I'm a chemistry PhD student with a focus on biophysics, and I'd love to talk with you guys about that and the CRISPR babies sometime.
Oh, CRISPR.
AF says, forget the 100 million, Tim. When will your album drop? You see, let me tell you something. I don't know if I'm going to avoid that story because it's personal to a high profile individual. But I'll just say this: at a certain point, you stop being able to buy things to make
Can't
your
buy
life.
love.
Let's say you're you want to get from New York to LA for an important meeting. What's the fastest way to do it?
Uber.
Airplane.
Yeah, you
yeah.
you get a first class ticket, I guess. So you're comfortable as you're going through all the airport BS. You can't. I guess at a certain point, if you're really wealthy, you can buy security bypass, where you can like take a car into the airport and have to go through security if you have a private plane.
Still going to an airport.
Still have to go to the airport, still have to get on a plane, still have to fly. I guess if you're wealthy enough, a private plane it's easier, I guess. You don't got to worry about security and faster. But for the most part, it's just easier to book a ticket. And it's like hard to charter private planes sometimes unless you own it and then you're super rich, I guess. But at a certain point, you can only do what humans can do. You can't go to Mars. You can't buy, money's not going to get you there. Elon's trying, but he's paving the way. He's the one who's he's making that path.
But it's not the money, it's the tech. You're
According
right.
to the Israeli professor, there are humans in Mars.
You can't buy your way there.
I don't know.
Well, why
Go to
wouldn't
the
Elon
orbit.
Musk just
Just throw
the
money
easy
into
way.
space.
Maybe there's a psyop.
But the question about the album, in my opinion, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like the age of albums is over. Now it's just singles.
One at a time,
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So the issue is, the reason I bring up the money thing is recording the music is just a matter of willpower. I have to prioritize. And so we want to launch this vlog, and we're working towards that direction. There's a lot of things we have to do before that, the administrative level. And recording music is like third burner for me
We
right
should
now.
record for the vlog, record the recording process.
Yeah, we could totally do
That'd
that.
be
That's
fun,
the way to
yeah.
do it,
Super
right?
fun.
And then you can hear like the isolated vocal tracks, and you can be like, "Wow, Tim's terrible at singing, but the song came out really good."
Dude, you were great on the last one.
Well, what people don't realize too is if you've ever actually listened to isolated vocal tracks with no effects, you realize that most singers for most music are like decent.
It's rough, yeah.
Yeah, it's fairly rough.
It's
And-
all auto-tuned.
Yeah.
No, not auto-tuned. Like, so the stuff I did was not auto-tuned at all. It's like, and I can't remember who said it, but they're like, you can tell Tim does like a vibrato, but I'm by no means like a great singer. I can just sing. And so what happens though is there's like reverb added to it, not to make me sing better, but to mix it with the other instruments and
Dude,
stuff like that.
I was
properly.
singing in the garage. The acoustics are incredible in there.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I heard you.
I thought I heard
Yeah,
a
it's not
dying
loud.
cat.
Oh, I was going.
Hey, whoa.
I was
We were
like
like, "Oh, no,
shaking off
Bucko,
days of
let's
rust.
see."
I was trying to take a nap. Like,
I kept thinking about you.
Lone Star Cooking Show says, anyone in the studio, do your best impression of Trump telling the nation aliens exist. Example, I know the best aliens. Nobody knows more aliens than me. The radical left aliens are trying to bring socialism. DC says, hey, Tim, have you considered making a Discord server? I will not make a Discord server.
How come?
And, because it gets rated immediately by psychopaths who post psychotic things. And then the left will go in, write
they
a bunch
blame
of
you.
crazy stuff, screenshot it, and then post it saying it was somebody else. Yep.
Easiest thing in the world.
Nah, I'm not interested in that. Yeah, I was quoting a news story from Vox that was making a racist argument, and then it was screenshot out of context, and then leftists tried using it to get me banned.
Could be something we could do with like people that pay like a monthly part of the subscribe monthly
We
could have access to
are-
a server or something.
We are setting up a members-only server, so everybody who's signed up will have access to exclusive content, live streams. That's gonna be part of the vlog stuff we're doing. So what we're gonna start doing too is like at the end of shows, a bonus segment that will go up on the website exclusive for members. The reason for it is I've actually been really bad at monetizing compared to a lot of other people. So there are people with so I'll put it this way. A paying subscriber is worth money. A YouTube subscriber is someone who just follows you. So if so I've got like millions of followers. If they were all giving $1 or $2 a month or $5 a month, then I'd have that $100 million a year. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of money. Then I could build and do whatever I want. Instead, I've been relying on, super chats, which are good, but kind of random. We don't know what it's going to come out to. Ad revenue is random. It goes up and down. January is going to be miserable for everybody because ad rates just tank, especially the election's over. So viewership's going down. Ad rates are going down.
Oh, because end of year budget, people just dump their advertising
Yeah.
budget.
December goes crazy, but then January, there is no budget, so no one's spending.
I just sell shirts. So
But so I'm thinking
cool.
about like, instead of just kind of mass producing tons and tons of content, we should probably do tons of content, but an actual base. I'll put it this way: you're actually better off having 100,000 hardcore fans who love you and not being all that famous, and then getting like 50,000 to pay $5 a month, because then you're super rich. You don't have to worry about getting canceled for the most part. You have millions of followers, you're relying on ad revenue, you can make a lot of money, but then you're a huge target.
Yeah.
Because you have, so it's like, we got to figure out. So, I pull back a little bit. I'm producing 3 less segments per day. We're doing more segments on this show, which you probably noticed we broke things up into segments this time around to actually, I think it's more formulaic.
We've been investigating getting a giant laser and CNC machine to produce like stuff that we can sell, like cups with like Timcast etched into them and
Yup.
things. So if you guys are interested in that kind of thing, tweet me about that.
This is kind of the balance. I'm like, at a certain point, you can only grow so much, but we want to create a better place for people to hang out and have fun. I mean, just like Luke was walking around in a ghillie suit the other day because he's ridiculous.
We were testing it out for
Test next to the
logistical-
Christmas
there
tree,
was,
right?
It
Yeah.
was serious logistics.
He stood next to the
see
Christmas
if
tree.
I could look like a Christmas tree
He
next
could, yes,
to
he could.
our new Ron Paul started.
He looked like a
Christmas
Wookiee.
tree.
But also, I don't know if I should I mention who came over to hang out the other day.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
he
think it's a
posted it.
secret.
He posted it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Super
right. Yeah,
cool,
James O'Keefe.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. In the photos. Yeah,
Yeah,
James
yeah.
O'Keefe was hanging out.
Yeah.
And he was DJing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Ooh,
I don't
that
know.
was strange. I was like, "Are you kidding? Are you pranking me, man?" And then he like
know.
literally whooped
so
out the
creative.
whole DJ
We
set.
should have filmed it.
Yes.
Because then we could have
That
been
would have
like,
been so much fun.
like James O'Keefe for some reason came to my house and started DJing for us.
Yeah.
I can
And
see
he,
it.
you know what he did?
He loves
am I
Phil Collins.
giving away his secrets if I tell people what
I
he
don't
did?
think
can
so.
tell
Okay,
us.
I'm telling. Sorry, James. I'm telling everyone your secret. He played his Retracto song, The
Oh,
Correction
I love that
Alpaca, mixed
I
with
love it.
Billie Jean.
Oh
and
my
he was
gosh.
DJing. And I'm sitting there. We were watching the Santa Claus 2. All right, while James O'Keefe was DJing.
That's
Right.
amazing.
And we had ordered.
Yeah, money can't buy this kind of
Well,
quality.
I know.
Yeah, I
right?
know. It was fantastic. So I'm like,
It's like a
should
fever
probably
dream.
film this because it's weird. But when we have people come, like when we have guests, like we hang out for kind of a bit. And there's
do,
like we're
yeah.
playing skee
We
ball
have
and
so
video
much
games. So
fun.
Yeah, James was like, "When's the next time we're all going to be hanging out?" And I'm like, "In the FEMA camps."
Yep, that'll be fun.
He's like, "Oh yeah, probably."
VMole1 says Bob Loblaw's law blog lops law bombs.
Oh my.
Arrested Development. Bob Loblaw's law blog. I also like in 30 Rock. Was it the Rural Juror? And then
no.
she's like, the movie she's in is called The Rural Juror, but she keeps saying The Rural Juror. and they're like the rural rural jur, and then the sequel is Urban Fervor. Urban Fervor. They can't figure out what they're saying.
I love it.
Crimson ID says the AP has called the existence of aliens an astronomical impossibility. Are they going to put a fact check on this video?
Yeah.
It'd be
Probably,
hilarious.
yeah.
They're like, there are no aliens.
I'm looking
Don't
forward
look
to
behind
that.
the curtain. Brewmaster Monk says we need things to take actual effort with real trade-offs so that our activities and skills represent our personal values. It's a sexual selection thing. Else we would fall into existential despair. Yeah.
Like if we all had everything, access to everything,
Yeah.
existential despair. Maybe, but then maybe we would get past it. Who knows?
No.
I don't think
Video
we would.
games get boring when you could do anything and everything.
TJ Rainman says, Tim, I'm missing the segments on the day-to-day. With my limited amount of time to look for news, I really value your multiple videos each day.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we're taking segments from this show in the 6 p.m. slot now. So I'm on my other channels, I'm no longer doing 6, 6:15, and 6:30, which were the short 10-minute segments, because that really those are 3 stories. They're shorter, but it's a lot more.
Rapid fire, yeah.
But it's research. So like each story requires a certain amount of research to where it's like tracking down stories, comparing them, kind of fact checking a little bit, and then doing 6. These last 3 are shorter and don't, it's just, I don't know. It was the biggest burden to like reduce to do the vlog, and I just think we got to build culture. Like having that video where if we had a video where you could see James O'Keefe DJing this
That'd
song,
be so much fun.
it would be humanizing in a lot of ways that people don't understand about James. They like these leftists have this view of him like he's some evil mustache twirling villain or something. You just see him hanging out like eating
Or
potatoes
when
and-
we were playing basketball.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Luke did a bank shot off the 6-foot mini ramp and got it into the hoop
On your
That video
Instagram.
got 70,000 views on
That's
Instagram.
amazing.
Pretty
That's what I'm
impressive.
talking about.
More pointless stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not that it's
Yeah.
pointless.
I'm joking.
The idea is, are we connecting with the younger generation by talking about top level politics and stuff? Probably
Sometimes,
not.
yeah.
Sometimes, probably not.
Yeah.
We lose
And so-
people.
Yeah.
It's not about losing people. It's about inspiring younger people to like. We want people to understand and agree with us. Well, we got to approach them in a bunch of different ways. We can't just keep talking about esoteric political issues and think they're going to know or care.
Yeah.
You can't
know.
berate them, and you got to have fun doing what you're doing, and
true,
you got to
too.
show people that side of it.
And I really think there's a place that millennials and Gen Z really need friends. I think that if you can kind of step into that and kind of be their friend.
They need
Yeah,
role models
Yeah,
because they have
that's
very
true, too.
poor role models
That's
everywhere
very
out there. You look
true.
at every TV show, how they highlight and focus on a man. Oh, it is
It's a
bad.
mess, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jacob Diaz says the left isn't all that opposed to the concept of borders. They would just have them situated in a way they obstruct the individual above all else. Jeffrey Perrine says, please consider letting me on your show. I think I can prove the Bible, the flood, giants, New World Order, the mark, 2,000-year-old text that has info that at least needs to be disclosed. I mean, that's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I would
Zeus-
listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about having like a pastor or somebody.
Yeah. Do you want to write down Jeffrey Perrine? Or actually, should we have him? Do we have the public email?
Yeah, spin the UFO.
Spin the
I haven't
UFO.
checked it in a while. Yeah.
Email
Oh.
spintheufo@gmail.com.
I will check it for you.
Ralph Misk says, check Luke, but it's like CZEC.
Oh.
Hey Tim, 1983 is a Polia take Orwell's 1984 on Netflix. Okay. Alice Beale says, hey Tim, what if aliens also believe in God? Like if there was an alien Jesus, which is why they are peaceful and don't like human violence. Maybe? Or what if they have like, what if they actually have their own kind of like alien Jesus and he's called like alien,
Juan.
Alien Juan, yeah. And then they come here and they're like, clearly Juan is the one true prophet of God.
The one
and then
true
we're
prophet.
like, no, it's not. And then all
It's
the different.
Jesus.
What if it's a very similar religion? Like, no, think about it. Like, we have all these shared
Mythos. Yeah.
mythos around
Worshipping the
in
star.
a bunch of different cultures.
Yep.
What if aliens came and had the same things?
I bet they will.
That'd be crazy.
Worshiping
Like
the
they
star,
have a god
man.
and they have, allegory
the
and
sun
The story
god.
of Christmas repeats culturally through many
It does.
civilizations.
Yeah.
Logan Foster says, watch The Phenomenon. It's a documentary about UFOs. A recent podcast from Joe Rogan with James Fox and Jacques Valley talked about it. Also, watch the Tom DeLonge podcast with Joe Rogan. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's too bad. I think they've been removed from YouTube.
Tom DeLonge is one of the key people fighting for revealing information about UFOs. He would be great to talk to.
He'd be so
Yeah,
much
it'd be
fun.
cool. I was a big fan of Blink-182 when I was a little kid.
I still
It'd
I
be
love
fun.
Blink.
Same.
Still
Yeah,
am.
me too.
We should, Tom, if you're listening, or if someone knows Tom, big fan, you should come on the show and talk about aliens.
Absolutely.
Let's play some music while you're here.
Brewmaster Monk, oh, definitely. Yeah, we'll jam too. That'd be a fun vlog. Brewmaster Monk says, what happens to a world that is dependent on matrix level tech and the tech breaks? Are you willing to make a baby with someone who's only adapted to pushing buttons?
If she's hot.
That's the
No, I'm
crazy.
just kidding.
That's the crazy thing. Like
I got to get to know her first.
no, but like you got to know how to survive a zombie apocalypse, man.
Well-
I can't be carrying you when the zombies are coming, right?
If we're so dependent on technology, what's going to happen if there's a solar flare?
We're
And
all
everyone has
screwed.
microchips in their
Sticks and
brains.
stones.
I got a Faraday cage with a microwave inside of it and a computer inside the microwave, so I'm good. See, in the land of the technologically addicted and a
But a
solar
book.
flare, the man with the Faraday cage cell
Man with
phone
a
is
book.
king.
Or with
Yes.
just skills
Yes.
that he learns how to be in the wild by himself.
Books. Yes.
I'll tell you what, you learn your survival skills.
Yep.
I'll take my cell phone with solar charger, crank charger backups in my double Faraday cage. And then when you're like, listen, I know how to catch a chicken, I'm going to be like, I can tell you how to make gunpowder.
I will make you the chicken.
And then
In
I
a
will make you the gunpowder.
post-apocalyptic world. I'll be like Alex Jones, looking at you like you're my neighbor.
Listen. If the apocalypse happened and all technology got burned out, and one person had a cell phone that was like had a bunch
be
of
the king.
imagine it didn't even have anything downloaded on it. It just had like stored in the RAM like some Wikipedia files. That person would be like the most valuable person.
And you
That would be the
probably
Holy Grail.
that person
Right.
probably wouldn't tell anyone that they had it because someone would try and take it. So did
Yeah.
that actually happen in history? Like you think about the cover up of Atlantis, it was lost. So if these people really had the secrets of like agriculture, they wouldn't have told us.
I have a good idea for a short film. It's like a bunch of like kind of primitive people, and they're tracking down like the tree of knowledge. It's a magical device that's said to grant you the ability to understand the world. And so they're having this big battle, and finally they like make their way to the enemy fortress. They break in. There's a war, and people are dying. One guy finally makes it through, kicks the door in, and then there it is. It's an iPhone. And then it it zooms out, and it's actually the world they're in is like 2,000 years after the fall of civilization, and the iPhone has still survived, and it's all like
Selfies and
no
private pictures.
No, like it's like horribly maintained by like a really old guy, and there's like a solar charger on it, and they're reading through like ancient knowledge and stuff.
LOL text messages.
I was thinking about doing a movie where the main character is the cell phone, and it just follows. Like people get killed, and the phone drops, and someone else picks it up, and it like the movie follows.
And then
tech.
at the end, it turns out the phone was the villain the whole time.
Ooh, the
Done.
phone's a
Controlling
person.
people. Yeah.
Oh man! All right, let's see.
There is a high likelihood the phone will have like 200 selfies of a girl in there.
Yeah, no doubt. All of them do it. Some
Kenrick
point.
Grunwald says, have you ever heard of the missing 400, the 411, 411, or the trend of people mysteriously going missing in national parks? Aliens.
Knew it.
Tito Latino says, fence sitter, keep up the good work. Voting in basketball arenas made for an irregular and interesting influence, plus amazing aliens. Christmas Story, the star from the Twilight Zone. Brewmaster Monk says the aliens are a lie. You can tell because it's an Israeli, and they're. I'm not going to read that.
That was mean.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No.
Nope.
V-Bent says the entire Joe Rogan experience is on the Pirate Bay. There you go.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Paul Viter says, hey, Tim, what if the aliens are the angels who were kicked out of heaven and they mean to bring about end times as in Revelations? Keep culture alive.
That's
think
what I
so.
was talking about. Religious people believing that
Yeah.
aliens are actually fallen demons or angels.
Yes.
So
No.
that's what people believe. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying there's three kind of belief systems when it comes to this.
What if the Bible was just propaganda? Yeah.
Seems like
yeah.
it is.
Propaganda, right?
Like a history
It
book,
seems
but
like there's a lot of
propagandized.
institutional powers trying to make sure people don't believe in it.
God
which is-
won and cast Satan down to earth or whatever, or to hell or whatever. See? History is written by the winners.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good point. I think the angels took a bunch of I think Adam, or no, not Adam. Michael was one of the archangels, and these dudes used to take a bunch of psychedelics and sit in a group and meditate. And they started to have these group meditations where they'd be like, "God is speaking to us," and they'd be like, "Yes, we're all hearing it, we're all seeing it." But the voice would come through Michael, and he would be like, "I'm speaking God," and then they became like this cult. And then Lucifer was like, "These guys are out of their minds. Let me talk to the plebes and give them the power of all this." And they were like, "No, he's a bad guy. Lucifer, stop!" And then they created a war, and there was all this.
There are
light
theories
bringer.
out there that religion was brought by a lot of mushrooms. So that's a theory.
Yeah.
With that
some
being
people
said, we have now gone from aliens exist, there's military weapons wiping everybody out, and then Joe Rogan's leaving YouTube. And then
Yes.
finally, people are taking mushrooms.
Yes.
And creating a religion.
Yeah, there you
Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Parler at Timcast. You can check out my other channels, youtube.com/TimcastNews and youtube.com/Timcast. Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. We are live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. You can find us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you haven't already, seriously, go check us out there and subscribe, because if you miss the show, you can watch it there. But we also do put up clips throughout the day after the show. So you actually get, clips from the show on each individual segments, which a lot of people tend to watch more than the show. But Luke, thanks for hanging out. You can follow Luke, of course.
I am still, kidnapped here for now. We'll see what happens. You could find my work on youtube.com/wearechange. We Are Change on YouTube. Luke We Are Change on Twitter and Instagram. So, yeah.
Right on. And there's some other people in the room, I guess.
Oh, holler. Follow me all over the internet at Ian Crossland. And hey, Luke, before we go, tell me a little bit about your merchandise and where I can buy.
You are too nice to me. Teesprings.com/store/We Are Change. And you can get shirts like the one I'm wearing right now that says Make Orwell Fiction Again.
I love it.
There you go.
And
of course, you can follow at Sour Patch Lids.
You can follow me, Sour Patch Lids, LYDS, on Twitter if you want to. I don't know why you would want to, but I am there.
I want to.
We are back tomorrow, the day of the safe harbor deadline, to discuss what is happening with Donald Trump's legal challenge to become president. Tomorrow's going to be one of the most important days.
I'm stoked.
Because if the challenges aren't resolved, it could theoretically put electoral college votes into purgatory, and then Joe Biden doesn't win. So we'll see how it plays out. Make sure you tune in for that, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye, guys.